Hello and welcome back to Dial H for Heroclix. I'm your host, Kalder Ness. This episode, we're going to be continuing our favorite Heroclix of all time series, with the next up set being Galactic Guardians. But of course, we're going to talk about some of the news that came out this week. We're just going to quickly run down things like the Black Panther Wakandan Hulkbuster, some of the new Black Panther figures that we saw, as well as the watch list results. This is episode 522. Howdy, howdy, let's get rowdy.
So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional
Heroclix
help.
I have the high ground.
Oh yeah, you have the high ground.
It's over, Simeon.
Yeah.
instant deadpan humor.
Over six people think I am funny.
I'm your Captain America.
That was just you in a costume.
Absolute fools.
Simeon, we have to edit that out.
That's cool because it's expensive.
I'm gonna make Heroclix like that for everyone. Are you kidding?
Wow. Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. Make sure you check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Use code DIAL5, DIAL5, for 5% off your Cool Stuff Inc. order. You can use code DIALH10, DIALH, with a 10, like Ben 10, for 10% off your Heroclix order at shop.wizkids.com. Only on in-stock Heroclix items. No pre-orders, no iconics, no play-at-home kits, etc., no promos, none of that stuff. Just kind of normal, everyday Heroclix. Joining me, like always, in the studio is Simeon Bruce. What's going on, Simeon?
Oh, another tornado watch.
That's what I was like, is he going to say, the weather, because I'm hearing thunder and there's the tornado stuff. Yeah.
Woke up at
Yup.
4:30 in the morning to
4:30 in the morning on a moonlit summer night.
and the thunder rolls
Thunder rolls.
and the lightning strikes.
That's right.
Another love goes cold. Would you believe it, chat? Another love goes cold. I can't believe it, chat.
Brooks just said,
smash
could you
that
believe
like
it, chat? Could you believe it, chat?
Yeah. but for real, the thunder do be rolling.
It do be rolling. You are correct.
Waking me up because I'm a light sleeper. I any noise generally that's like above 60 decibels wakes me up. So if someone were to be using a power drill outside my window to like fix their window or something, I don't know. What are they doing? I don't know. That would wake me up. Now, thunder that literally shakes my house absolutely wakes me up. So yeah, that was my morning. But that's what's up. Omaha weather has not gotten better. Probably won't.
No, it probably won't. It's getting ridiculous. They just keep hitting us with stuff this year. Mother Nature's like, another one. Give them another one. What made you happy this past week, my man?
Made me happy this week. It actually happened today. I drove 6 hours round trip all the way to Ravenna, Nebraska. Population 1,300. How that many people live there, I do not know. Don't ask me where they hide, where they're at. I don't know. But that's where my grandparents, just the majority of like my family throughout my like entire childhood lived. Most of my extended family lived there, but once a year, every year, Ravenna, they do they flip the name. Do you know what Ravenna backwards is? That's correct. It's Anavar.
Okay.
The weekend, 2-weekend fair that, it's just like it's a city fair. They've got tractor pulls, they've got demo derbies, they've got all kinds of stuff going on. And of course, they've got rides. They've got a parade. I made it in time for the parade today. Very exciting.
Nice. Any good floats? Any standouts?
No. Floats,
okay.
Terrible. But some really cool old tractors and stuff. One dude he was third place apparently with his like 2024 Kubota. So I was like, congrats, I guess, on having that. But there's a lot of like farmals, a lot of international harvesters, a lot of golf carts, just small town conveyance vehicle things. How do I get to the police /post office /mayor's office? That's right. my tractor. So it was that. Then they had a little car show. They had some rides. Went on the Sizzler. Love the Sizzler.
A good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went on it with my brother-in-law. My sister was like, nope, ate too much food. We had great food. It was like a little potluck at my grandma's house. And then went on the Sizzler, and my sister was like, I ate too much. And I was like, come on. She was like, no, it's going to upset my stomach. And I was like, all right. So I took her fiance onto the Sizzler, and I said, do you want to be the crusher or the crushee? Because the Sizzler does not care how strong you are. You, at some point, will become the crusher or the crushee. Like,
that's facts.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, when I was younger, I was always the crushee because it was like, put the lighter one here, the heavier one there. And so we got to be real close during that Sizzler ride. Despite his best efforts, we got to be very close. And yeah, so there's some candid photos I'm sure somebody caught. But no, I love carnival rides. The only thing I regret about Anavar this year is I didn't have enough time to be able to do any of the horridly overpriced like fair games. I really wanted to do the stupid quarter pusher thing. I don't know why. I love that thing. Didn't get to do that. Didn't do the darts. Didn't do the like machine gun, BB gun, blow out the star thing.
That just does not give you enough BBs to blow out the star. It feels
it's
like,
almost,
probably doesn't.
Impossible
task.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel like all fair games are basically impossible tasks, or at least they attempt to make it impossible. But yeah, that's what I was up to today, and it was a great time. I encourage anyone with a local fair to go and do your local fair because it's fun. It's good stuff. Yeah, went on some rides. Did the Zero Gravity, which back in my day was called the Gravitron. I also did the I can never. It's got like many names. Sometimes it's called like the Rock and Roll. It is a thing where you sit down in what basically would be like a concert row of seats. So it's like 30 seats wide, and then it just goes horizontal. It goes like horizontal up, and then horizontal down, and it just keeps doing that kind of pattern over and over again. But yeah,
that's fun stuff. I love county fairs, state fairs, just whatever. All that stuff is just so much fun. Really feels like the classic. Yeah, this is just pure good times, pure Saturday delight. Oh yeah, no, I don't know, sound boomery, like not a phone in sight. People just living life, just eating disgusting food, just going on rides, just having a good time.
Kids just paying $80 to ride the same thing 12 times.
I want to go again. I mean, I was that kid. I know I was that kid. And my dad at one point in time, he was like, all right, fine. Pay, and we'll go on the Sure Shot or whatever it was, where it just like goes up really slow. It's just like a tower. It goes up slow and it just really drops you. Then it'll do that like a few times. That ride rocks. I love that one. It's so simple, but it's just like, yeah, it's cool.
One gripe I'll have about like Anavar is there's a perfect placement that they could have for the Ferris wheel. Yeah, the Ferris wheel. And they don't put it there. So there's a big overpass that goes over the railroad into town, because that's what Ravenna is. It's an old railroad town. It's probably 50 feet higher elevation than any other part of town. And rather than putting the Ferris wheel at the peak of that, they put it like at the bottom of that. And I'm like, ugh. Great.
What? So yeah, you want to have a good view.
I get to see, like, obviously the top of all the buildings in Ravenna, because there's like several 2-story buildings in Ravenna. But at the peak, I don't get to see like over like the like railroad track overpass thing. I don't get to see over that. I don't get to see over anything. I'm just like, look at the top of all these flat roofs of the main street. But no, it's a great time. I love I love small town stuff like that. I love the weird little parades, and then obviously small town like fairs. That's where it's at. Like state fair is cool. It's fine. It's whatever. Small town fairs, awesome. Like it's way better. Yeah, I did not wait in any line whatsoever.
Oh,
every
that
ride that I went on, I like walked up and I was like, I looked at like the for lack of a better term, carny. I looked at him and I was like, and he was like, and I was like, all right. And I walked in and like sat down, gave him my tickets, and that was it. I didn't wait behind children or anything, so.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, right on. What made me happy this week? I revisited my December game of the year last year, Blood West, on Steam. A game with PS1 era graphics, but the heart of a modern game. It's this awesome stealth shooter that I had gotten every achievement for except for one. And I usually save achievements like this to the end, but this week I was like, there's nothing stopping me. I guess I'll log into old Blood West, finish off this last achievement, and that was these are, I always say this last, but the collectathon achievements, the Riddler trophies, the Doom Eternal action figures, soundtracks, whatever. And in this game, there are just notes lying around everywhere. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go get all the notes, all like 50, 40 notes that are kind of used to describe enemies, to give you a hint early on in the game, like, oh, this is what an enemy type might be. And then some are actually like really fun story things that are left by settlers. It takes place in the Old West, so it's left by some like settlers or gold miners or people that are running into like the demons that are kind of taking over the land. And I was like, I'm just gonna go get them. And I just collected all the notes, and I was like, yep, I felt something again in that moment when I saw the achievement pop up saying you got. Steam doesn't have platinums. I'm used to calling it platinums, but whatever. 100%ing the game. It's always nice to 100% a game. I like doing it. I don't platinum every game I own or 100% every game I own, but I try to an extent. And it's pretty fun. So this is like the second Steam game I've ever gotten every achievement on. And I'm like, all right, cool. And that's made me happy. Clear cut, really simple. Yeah, it was a good old time. Also just pulling nasty in the pre-release, getting both Prime Rogue and Prime Colossus. I have to shout that out. Gameplay videos up on YouTube / will be uploading these next few days. That was just like, man, not only do I get Prime Colossus, but also I know that nobody else is going to play Prime Rogue. And I'm like, this rocks. So it just dumpstered people with Prime Colossus. There were some close games. Like my first game was really close against Aaron. And I say close in the way that like Colossus really wasn't going to go down, but I was having a hard time hitting a lot of his team. And the rest of my team was kind of dying. And I'm like, oh man, some bad luck, and Colossus could go down. So there were some games that did end up kind of being close, but none of them lasted more than 30 minutes, which I'm just like, this is what I like in pre-release, a little sealed, a little 20-minute game. Me and Dave's game was like literally 20 minutes. When you watch that gameplay, it's like this, here you go, this, here you go, and I'm like, I love this. I love a rapid fire back and forth. This rocks. So it's been a good week. Another pre-release tomorrow. Ooh. That I get to be excited for, and we'll check it out. So yeah, that's what made me happy.
Nice. Yeah. That's another thing that's going to make me happy is tomorrow. So it's a preemptive made me happy.
It is.
I will pull some figures from this set. Maybe they'll make me happy. Maybe they won't. I guess I should wait and see. But I feel like it's fair enough to say pre-release is always a happy time. Everyone
At least a little bit. Like, even if you don't get a Chase Prime, like, pull really great, it's like, it's still fun playing with something that's just new before it's even out. It's like, ooh.
And sealed play is always, like,
Sealed is so fun.
Sealed is so
even if you play, like, Sealed of an ancient set, it's still, like, kind of fun. It's kind of quirky playing it within itself. Like, I just love Sealed. It rocks. So, all right, guys, let's jump into a little bit of the news here before we get into our main part of the show. Simeon, we saw some Black Panther related spoilers. It's kind of insane that this Game Trade magazine or whatever magazine it was is just posting Black Panther dials when Weapon X is coming out next week. Sure, it's all been spoiled. But then, like, Time Masters, hello? The Time Masters set, the DC set that's right after. Feels like it's like, all right, skip over it really quickly. Here's some Black Panther stuff. But even as odd as that is, it's really cool to see that we get a new team ability, the Black Panther team ability, which is just Batman. It gives stealth. Kind of neat, kind of cool. I don't know. What do you think? We're not going to get in any of the dials, but it's like, okay, cool. New team ability. Haven't gotten a new team ability since Wonder Woman? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah,
one of them.
I think Guardians was more recent. We've had a few updated ones. So Wonder Woman happened, and then Spider-Man got updated to that. So like, it's not a new team ability. Spider-Man existed, but like, yeah, we did get a revamp, and it feels like they're trying to, between DC and Marvel, make a compatible one-to-one-ish kind of thing. Because I think DC now has Hyper Time and maybe like CSA, the Crime Syndicate one. Those might be like the two that DC has that Marvel does not have a counterpoint for. But yeah, this is a long time coming. Batman team ability has been a staple in the team it
really is
for years and years. So it's kind of wild that Marvel is just now getting a version of that. But yeah,
but it's pretty dang cool. Also this week we saw the Pulp watch list get finalized. Kind of exactly what I expected for the most part. A Necron ban, a Blackheart ban, and a Sinister ban with nothing to Doctor Strange, nothing to Orb. Basically exactly what I wanted / kind of hope for, because I don't know, it makes sense to me. Once Sinister and Blackheart are out of there, I don't think Orb is the problematic thing anyway. I think he was just made crazy problematic with those two. And then Doctor Strange, they had it as A60, but they definitely meant like Avengers Forever Doctor Strange, because that's the one that's like actually seeing play. He's just really mobile, really solid, a really cool technical piece, and I don't think he does anything like broken. He's just like a solid figure. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm mostly just happy no Blackheart, no Sinister. Honestly, didn't play too much Pulp. I don't think I've ever played a team of Pulp against Necron, ironically. So I was never really too crazy about that. But, he's out of there now, too. What do you think about the Pulp ban list, Simeon?
I mean, I agree with it. Like, I feel like Necron doesn't seem as bad in Pulp unless it's not Highlander. Like, if you can play multiple Necrons, then it seems kind of like bad, because I mean, just anything, same with like Carnage, Silver Surfer, anything that can like heal above its start line, that can just be this relatively cheap piece on your force and have a insane potential kind of like situation. Necron is like the catalyst for the Black Lantern team. Black Lantern team doesn't really exist in Pulp, but you can still do quite a bit of damage with just like Monster or whatever, and having Necron just straight up healing for no reason. Like, Necron's just in the back, just like, oh, something died? Okay. I'm suddenly a massive threat on the board for 40 points of initial investment. So I get that one for sure. I'm glad they didn't take Orb off. I'm glad that, like...
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Blackheart Orb combo was really good. Just Blackheart anything combo is really good. But then, like, obviously Sinister, Blackheart, and Orb is just like, you have a preloaded crit hit energy exploded almost all the time, almost every game. It just is bad, not good. So yeah, fixing a few of those, yeah, I'm okay with it. I think there's a few things in Deadpool Weapon X that's gonna shake up Pulp, and I'm glad that we're banning a few things for the time being to see if some new things can kind of flourish. That'd be nice.
I absolutely agree, 100%. But that's pretty much all we're going to touch on as far as news goes this week, guys. You can see a bit of a news rundown. Is there something else we want to talk? Is there anything else?
We also got Wakanda Hulkbuster.
Oh, I guess I kind of looped that in with the Wakanda stuff. But yeah, we did get Wakanda Hulkbuster. This actually is a really neat Iconics. It also had the Wakanda team ability. How do you feel about its stuff, I guess?
So it's 125 points or 70. At 125, you have a Charge Flurry. Opposing characters can't be given more than one free action per turn, which is massive because that's not like within range or line of fire. That's just opposing characters can't be given more than one free action. It does come at a hefty cost of 125, but
yeah, the
amount of teams that thrive off of free actions, only having one free action is kind of nutso. At 70 points, it's just a charge piece with a special poison quake power. I'm not going to get into it too much. I personally don't think it'll see a ton of play. It also, I mean, obviously there's like traits and special defense power at the end of the dial and stuff. I think for 125 being a charge flurry, most of the time it'll be a 13 for 4. Potentially it'll be a 13 for, because it's super strength, it'll be a 13 for like 6.
That is true.
Fairly often.
Little giant reach. It already has giant reach 2 because it's big.
Yeah.
It could be like a giant reach 3 or something with a bigger object.
I think it's neat enough. Neat. Yeah. It's just I don't know. It'll depend on how much people depend on free actions. If 125 points of your build, over a third of your build, canceling out free actions on a team is worth it, then this figure might see play at top dial. I don't think 70 points is really like anything to really put a ton of like effort or thought into. It's a very cool sculpt, very cool piece.
It is a really cool sculpt. I love how big it is. I love that it has the silver base, like the rest of the Iron Man Hall of Armors. Really, the only bummer, and I think its abilities are cool. I think it'll see like some play. A lot of fun casual teams can build around. I think it's a really, really, really fun piece. It does seem risky to play in like a modern game, but maybe people will probably give it a shot, try to build with it. Ultimately, I'm just disappointed that it's not a Hall of Armor piece that doesn't work with the, like, mechanically work with the other Iron Man Hall of Armors. I know this is Black Panther's Hulkbuster and all that, but I mean, I don't know if Tony made it. I don't know if Shuri made it, but it having like the same silver base and all that stuff kind of made me wish a little bit that it worked with the rest of them, But that's really about it. That's my only really minor gripe. Even if it doesn't make comic accurate sense, it would have been kind of cool to see it work with the rest of them, a little bit. But that's okay. It's still a really neat piece, and it looks awesome. It really does just look awesome.
At least it'll slot into like the Hulkbuster display piece.
True. It will look good on the display.
That's
with the same silver base and everything.
So now you have to own 2 Hall of Armors, so you can have your Hulkbuster
just to get the little base,
and then also the Wakanda Hulkbuster.
Oh my!
Also displayed, yeah. That what is that? Like a $50 base that you're buying there.
Basically, at that point. Goodness gracious! But that is the news this week. It actually is like a lot of really cool stuff came out this week, got showcased, all that. It actually really is kind of neat. But we're going to go ahead and jump back into our favorite Heroclix of all time series. So we left off last week with Incredible Hulk. Simeon, before we jump to Galactic Guardians, was there anything from, I guess it's Lord of the Rings, the first Lord of the Rings set, Infinity Gauntlet, or Star Trek Tactics you want to talk about? If not, we can just get right into Galactic Guardians.
I mean, obviously, like everything from Infinity Gauntlet. That's like I mean, everything other than Taraxia from Infinity
there
Gauntlet.
you go. That's actually facts.
Very cool sculpts, and then if you have all the like stones, very cool. Like
obviously,
they fit on the bases of all of
the stones. The gauntlet being just a menace in Heroclix, like the standard to play Heroclix. You have to have someone with the gauntlet.
Man, what an awesome, like, if you're gonna run a scenario or whatever at your local shop where you allow resources, Gauntlet is one of like the most thematic ones to run for sure. But yeah, I'll say that for Infinity Gauntlet. As far as Lord of the Rings goes, man, epic actions. Man, like, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, it's some really cool stuff. Like
I don't have any.
I own Sauron. I own some of like the Wolf Riders and like whatever. They're overcosted. I would never play them in anything other than like a weird friendly game where you like change point values. But yeah, the epic actions and stuff, very cool.
Yeah, I don't have necessarily any ties to like this first Lord of the Rings set. Some like the later Hobbit ones and stuff. I might mention some things. We'll see how it goes. But getting into Galactic Guardians, I want to say this is the first ever super booster, like super booster set where we just had massive figures in it. That's like the Galactus, the Giganto, the Master Mold, all this stuff. But funnily enough, the figure that I maybe not necessarily like the most retro, like spectively, like I never really played in this set. This set never, I just didn't play in it. There's never anything in this set that I loved. Obviously, the actual Doctor Stranges, super iconic. People really liked those. Obviously, Mole Man, disgustingly good. People really liked him. But my favorite piece, just because he was one of the only pieces I got from the set, was the 100 Supernova. He's not good, but he was the marquee figure that you could just buy for like $3 off the display case, guaranteed. That's who you're getting. And I was like, oh, cool. I always thought Nova was neat. I never read a lot of Nova. I don't even know if this is Richard Rider. I actually don't even think it is this Supernova, but it was just a piece that I always played a lot. Looking back, it's like, oh, how is this 142 points? That's hilarious. But I always liked this piece. I always thought it was really funny. I was like, oh, cool. I'll just buy this. So I don't know. I always enjoyed him. He made it on to a lot of my teams. And then I noticed a lot of people, like Nova always had like the nickname Buckethead. So I actually like hot glued a like Lego bucket on top of this like Heroclix sculpt's head, and I just thought it was hilarious, the funniest thing in the world. Like, oh wow, this is the greatest joke in the world. So I don't know. I always had like a little attachment to this Supernova piece from Galactic Guardians. Anything from Galactic Guardians for you, Simeon?
I think the only massive like standout for me, gosh, because like obviously like the Colossal boosters, just like all the Colossals, super awesome. Man, Chanos, very cool. The F4 stuff was pretty cool. Super Scroll, I really liked the Super Scroll dial for a rare, just like back, so he didn't have Indom, so you could push him, you could get him to different clicks, you could have him on click 1 and then be like, yeah, but next turn I could like Pulse Wave, so like push him, like that kind of thing. There's really not a whole lot outside of Mole Man and like the not 2x2s, geez, the Colossal base figures, because these ones were all 3x6, I think. No, Uatu was 2x2, but most of them were 3x6. Dormammu was 2x2. I think this was like a golden age in Heroclix for Colossals, and yeah, so I'll give a shout out to those, but they don't really feel main set because of that, so
fair enough.
That's about it.
I'm gonna just quickly reference before we get to like another main set, but the Avengers movie comes out in between a few of these sets. I have to give a shout out to the Avengers movie starter being like one of the first starter kits I ever had, and like during the hype for the Avengers movie, having just all the Avengers on a team, even though they were all crazy expensive, and looking back at these dials, I'm also just still like, they made some choices. Only Thor and Captain America have an 11 attack out of all of these, and like Iron Man is 200 points with a 10, Hulk is 150 with a 10. It's kind of wild, but I just have such amazing memories with the Avengers movie starter. It also had a really interesting naming scheme where everybody had they were the blank Avengers. Like Thor was the mighty Avenger, Cap was the first Avenger, right? So instead of being called like Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, they all just had these like sharpshooting Avenger, the covert Avenger. It was really fun. I always thought it was really cool, and it was just kind of like really neat. So just shout out to the Avengers movie starter. It was just probably one of my all-time, literally just favorite starters ever. Had awesome maps, and it was just a ton of fun. And then to shout out, like, my one favorite figure from the Avengers movie, it is the 204 Captain America. He has the first Avenger trait and all this other stuff where he had super strength but could only pick up light objects, which is kind of funny how, like, for a while there, everybody could pick up light objects, et cetera, et cetera. It was really funny. But it was like, oh, he's kind of like a super soldier. It's kind of fun. And that was also, like, the mainstay figure I had on my very first team for Avengers vs. X-Men. So I just had to shout that out. I love the Avengers movie set. It was like a ton of fun. It was really cool. If there's anything you want to shout out from Avengers movie Dark Knight Rises before we get to not Civil War, CW, Chaos War, let me know. But if not, we can move right on.
From Avengers, I don't think from Avengers movie.
That's fair.
Not this one specifically. Like, I never played with this one. It was my first MCU set was Age of Ultron. So
okay, when we get there,
one is a no-go. But I do really like the Jesse Eisenberg from Dark Knight Rises.
You mean Jesse Eisenberg from Batman vs Superman? Dark Knight Rises is not quite.
Yeah, that's Batman vs Superman.
We'll get there eventually. He's also actually like the figure I chose to jump to Batman versus Superman. That Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor is also the figure that I chose. I love. He's hilarious. He's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if Dark Knight Rises has anything for me. I mean,
it doesn't have anything. It has nothing. It doesn't really have anything for me. But it's neat. It's neat that we even got a Dark Knight Rises set. Honestly.
Yeah, if you really like the movie, there's a couple characters that appear in the movie that are clixed technically. Like, some of the worst ways possible, but
it's so weird.
Technically, they are in Heroclix. So, yeah.
What about Chaos War for you, Simeon? Do you have anything from Chaos War?
Oh, absolutely. Chaos Wars. Honestly, it was a defining set in Heroclix. So, like, Morgan Le Fay, great sculpt, great little effect. Love, like, the stuff that's going on. All the super rares in this set, for the most part. Lockjaw and Hairball, Kang, Chaos King. I mean, not a great super rare, but obviously like massive impact in the comics. And then Chaos War is one of the things that brought back like the duo bases. So Ant-Man and Wasp, Hawkeye, Mockingbird, Vision, Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man. Like, just so many. And these were ones that I absolutely tried to collect all of them. Sentry Void is one of the ones that like. I think I didn't play at this point in time, but Sentry Void was a 300-point figure.
Oh, menace!
That
menace.
Could, just be like had the split merge kind of action. Which, if you don't know what that is, you could start the game with Sentry Void, 300-point piece. That was the only piece, and then at some point in the game, you could give them power action if they had no tokens, and replace Sentry Void with the 035 Sentry and 045 Void on the same click number from this set. So I'll just say, like, both figures pretty decent at the time. Like, in this day and age, like, Sentry and Void, like, if you swapped them out on click one, kind of menacing. And then you could merge them back into Sentry Void if you really wanted to. And then when the replacement character would be KO'd, you can instead return the character on the map on click 10. So if your opponent would KO Sentry or Void, instead you would just get click 10 of Sentry Void, which is a 7-speed running shot, 10 attack, 3 damage, 16 defense with regen. Doesn't sound that crazy, but back when this was like actual modern legal, this figure alone would like just run through teams. Because you like the split merge, it's 11 range, 1 lightning bolt, started with hypersonic, psychic blast, impervious, 11 for 5. Yeah, and then also just to shout it out, one of the best legacies that we've gotten, Avengers Prime.
Oh, dude, so awesome!
One of the best
good
sculpts we've ever had, I think.
Yeah,
just like the combo sculpt is so fun. Obviously, it had duo tag, it triple target, 8 range, 3 lightning bolts. Like,
it was awesome. This
insanely hard to like beat.
This piece rocked.
Avengers Prime, because this would be like if the DC. We've never had DC Trinity.
We've never had the Trinity. It's wild. We never got like the Trinity. We've gotten World's Finest twice.
Finest, yeah.
But we've never gotten the Trinity, which is crazy to me.
It's crazy, but this is like Marvel's Trinity. So
It is the
Avengers
big
Prime,
three.
awesome sculpt, awesome like legacy card. I mean, there's a reason why this legacy card and figure goes for like a ton of money.
Yeah.
But no, just it was a great set, and one of the first things I collected when I found out about legacy cards was I collected Void, I collected Sentry, and then I collected Sentry Void from this set because I was like, if I ever fail to get these figures, it'll be very disappointing to me. And I should have added Avengers Prime to that list, but I, for whatever reason, I never did. Also, Nitro, like one of the only Nitros in Heroclix, and this is like him doing the like full explode thing. So
explode, reform, explode.
Yeah,
cool.
A very fun set. It's got a very Chaos War has a very historic kind of line.
It does.
Also, the Ultron drones from the set.
Very odd. Very suggestive.
Was not a fan of like when Tony Stark's nanobots got hacked and then reconfigured his body into Ultron drones that looked like Janet Van Dyne. But
very creepy.
Extremist virus do be doing weird stuff. So
yeah,
I was okay with it in the comics after a long period of wondering why. But no, for me, this set is fully just Sentry Void. Single Sentry, single Void, and then Sentry Void, and then Avengers Prime. I think the duo figures are all really cool. I own all of them except Avengers Prime. It's not technically a duo figure; it's a triple figure. But yeah, I've got a real soft spot for duo figures. I think they're all cool.
Probably my standout figure from this set was actually the Ant-Man and Giant Man. They were like this weird box set. You could just buy these two figures by themselves. They were part of like Chaos War, and I especially just loved the 75-point Ant-Man because the idea to young me at the time being like, wow, a stealth tiny sized piece that just has a printed 20 defense, just a printed 20 defense is just like, this is insane. There's no way this can't be real. This can't be real. What in the world? So the amount of times I'd give this dude like defend or whatever with like the Phoenix Force or something else and just be like, he just made me, I love playing defensive shell teams. Like, man, I can defend a 20 if they have ESD, if they have counter reflexes, that's a 22. This is insane. I absolutely loved the Giant Man and Ant-Man. And also, like, he's one of my first Colossals ever was this, like, Giant Man piece. It was really, really cool. Both on the flip side of a small piece with no sculpt to, like, the biggest sculpt in my collection. I was like, I absolutely love these pieces. But Chaos War is just a fantastic set, which like just meant so much for Heroclix at the time.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to chat about until DC or Marvel 10th anniversary, but definitely
we got San Diego Comic-Con pack.
Definitely shout that out. That's really cool.
Purple rings all around. Never legal for any reason.
I did play Stan Lee. He was really fun in some like casual games. It's like super fun. I did also watch that like movie that it came with.
Yeah,
just kind of a documentary. Yeah, it was just kind of like a fun little mini documentary on Comic-Con. Some real normal people. I think one guy or one girl was doing like the cosplay contest. One guy like proposed to his girlfriend and like them kind of getting excited for that or leading up to him doing that at Comic-Con. It was just kind of quirky, little fun documentary, I guess, but probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was neat. But Marvel 10th and DC 10th, I loved these two sets. They were expensive to try to buy whenever I was like, man, they have both amazing sculpts in both sets. Like Marvel 10th Iron Man, who was like one of my first, you go back like 2 years when they started making legacy cards. I was like, gotta get one of these guys. Because even I knew that like M10, like 009 Iron Man had like a legacy with his whole like not taking damage from relic or resource people, which I'm like, wow, that was just for the time. People were just like, this is amazing, broken. He's just never going to die. It was really cool. But my obvious pick for Marvel 10th Anniversary is the 001 Captain America. It's a remake of the Ultimate style, but it's really cool. It's Cap with like a pistol and a like helmet, like a World War II helmet, like a parachute backpack or just kind of like a supplies backpack, and he's leaping over these sandbags, and it's like one of the coolest Captain America sculpts just ever, bounding over these sandbanks, gonna charge, into World War II. It's really, really sweet. Like one of my favorite sculpts of all time, and I just absolutely, absolutely adore this piece. Absolutely love this sculpt. And then on the DC side of things, I think the rare Lex Luthor is the most comic accurate Lex Luthor we have ever gotten in Heroclix, and it's just one of my all-time favorite, just literally one of my all-time favorite pieces ever. He's got an anti-Superman ability. He can bring in kryptonite once per game. He's got some really cool like phasing move and attack. His armor gets like slightly weaker as time goes on. It's really cool. I really like this Lex Luthor a lot. I think it is just like, it's the Lex Luthor. Honestly, for the points, I don't even hate it, but I always like playing him, and he's got a great sculpt. What I think of Lex Luthor is like power armor Lex. I think it looks really cool. So yeah, my DC 10, my Marvel 10 are like that Captain America, that Lex Luthor. Absolutely love him.
I agree. Yeah. So Marvel 10th for me is just like the whole set. Like,
yeah,
Magneto, Emma, Thor, like they're all like the secret invasion stuff going on. The battlefield promotion thing that they had. Obviously, I have like 12 of like the Thing standing with like the not lamppost, this like the sign behind him in his like full like trench coat and like trilby thing. Marvel 10th is like very iconic set for me, and then DC 10th is similarly just like what are the quintessential DC figures and like the two best versions of most of them that you could think of. So like there's a very cold calculating Lex Luthor, and then there's like power suit Lex Luthor. That is like one of my favorite sculpts of all time. Him like throwing up the force shield kind of thing. And then the chases from DC, I don't know if they were really chases, but like the figures that I have from DC 10th that are technically chase rarity is the Black Lantern Trinity. So that's slightly cooler than the chases from Marvel.
Oh, definitely. Like, the scrolls were a neat idea, but like I think people definitely were like, the Black Lanterns are cooler than scrolls.
Oh yeah, because like I got the Wolverine, like the Chase Wolverine scroll thing for like $10, and then collecting the Trinity, I think cost me at least like 50 or 60 for like the 3. So yeah, it's just slightly better, slightly cooler, and then that was like one of the last times that I got Martian Manhunter for a very long time was DC 10th, and that was a pretty decent version of Martian Manhunter as far as I consider. Like 0 action tokens, he can use shape change. It's cool. Then he just had stealth and charge on his top dial if you played him at full points, which was very good. Fun sets. They're tiny sets, but very fun sets.
Yeah. I think technically Streets of Gotham, but I don't really have anything until Amazing Spider-Man. Shout out Streets of Gotham, Guy Gardner. Shout out. I want to say he's in this set. Is he? Oh. No, I guess Bad Samaritan is. I don't know. I don't remember what set Bad Samaritan's in. Anyways, Amazing Spider-Man, though, that Ghost Rider, and then Man-Thing and Howard the Duck. I love both those pieces when they initially came out. I knew that Ghost Rider was obviously broken for so many people. He's just stupid, insane, crazy. And he was. Like, he ruled the meta at that time with the Heroes for Hire team ability and all that. So, he was just kind of insane. Reading him now, it's like, really? But, like, free damage was just not as possible back then. It really is. It's like, wow, this is 145 points. But with the Bat Belt and with Heroes for Hire and, 11 years ago, he was nuts. So yeah, it's really, really, really cool. I wish the Legacy card had been honestly, selfishly, I wish it had been as broken as how he was at the time. Probably good it wasn't, but I do just loved this Ghost Rider. Felt like I finally got a figure that gave me a real edge playing the game, and it did because it was insane. And then Man-Thing and Howard the Duck were just awesome because I was like, oh wow, sweet, another Howard the Duck. I love it. But anything from Amazing Spider-Man, it was also just a great set. Amazing Spider-Man is just an awesome set.
Yeah, I agree. I will say from Batman Streets of Gotham, the Chase set was really cool. All the different versions of Batman, like the Hugo Strange dressed as Batman. I guess that was on the Chase. That was like a LE. All the different the Bane Batman, the classic Batman, all those things. really cool. From Amazing Spider-Man, the thing that I remember the most, other than like generics, because obviously like the werewolves with like the full moon sent a blood trait,
Yeah, dude.
super solid. Dracula with just like the plain vampires in the set, pretty solid.
That was also iconic. Just this classic black cloak Dracula. It was really cool.
Yeah. And then for whatever reason, I really, really remember the Carry-On from the set. Like, I don't know if he was any good or not, but he was a rare. He had the he can use poison when he does. Adjacent opposing characters less than 100 points are dealt 2 damage instead of 1. And then adjacent opposing characters of 100 or more points are also given an action token. So, like, if you just managed to get him up into the fray on that click, he was giving action tokens out or just dealing 2 damage. And then, he had like the Rotting Touch special power that was
cool.
Weakness when he does and when he uses it and hits until your next turn, hit character can't use defense powers except super senses. I really loved this figure. I played a ton of it. And then, shout out to Blackheart. I love any figure that has bystanders that pop off the base. So that was like a really fun one. And then like the chase set. I mean, obviously, like
It was neat. I like
Crisis.
Like the coolest thing was the what's it called? The Spider-Man like effect on their bases was printed like that webbing pattern.
Yeah.
That was like really cool.
Yeah, having like that special base. And then obviously like one of the cooler chases is the Spider-Man with like the Sinister Six like coming up out of the base after him, like actual Spider-Man. Iron Spider is very cool, but like if you can find an Iron Spider with all 3 tendrils intact, actually like mounted on his base correctly, holy cow, that's like a holy grail of Heroclix figures, because man, that guy was flimsy and easily broken. So I have Hornet, Ricochet, Dusk. I have the armored Spider-Man, the Spider armor, and then I have the Spider like stealth suit. But Iron Spider, I don't have. Spider-Man with the Sinister Six underneath him, and Prodigy, I don't have. So yeah, but also Frankencastle.
Frankencastle.
One of like the, I wouldn't say like a great iconic comic moment, but it's a pretty fun comic run. Like,
it's really cool.
Frank Castle getting torn apart by Dakin and then rebuilt as Frankencastle. I don't want to say that it's like a great comic run, because it's really like it's bad comic writing.
But it's goofy. But it's goofy, fun comics.
Yeah,
and it led for a goofy, fun Heroclix figure, which I was pro. I played him a lot with like Capwolf and stuff, like the alternate monster heroes, like not zombie Wolverine. Was it Vampire Wolverine, Frankencastle, and Capwolf? I was like, this is kind of cool. This is kind of neat. I think it was fun. I like Frankencastle a lot. Shouting out really quickly, Iron Man 3, a set that I absolutely adore, absolutely love, because this set was at a local-ish Shopco to me growing up, and so I bought a ton of Iron Man 3, and by a ton, I mean like 1 or 2 packs at a time from this Shopco whenever we visited it, like whatever I could afford. And I was like, this is awesome, and I pulled my very first chase ever, so I have to shout out Iron Man and War Machine, even though I love and I have good memories of just playing so much of the Iron Man 3 movie set, but I have to shout out Iron Man and War Machine. My first ever chase, I still think they just rock. They look so cool. But yeah, gotta shout out Iron Man 3 for that. But I suppose we can talk about Fear itself a little bit. You have a pick from Fear itself here, Simeon. I feel like I know what it might be, but
Fear itself is absolutely filled. So
it's
so many things. I mean, I love Thule Society Priest, getting him to click 3. It's a generic, so like playing multiples, getting him to click 3, having a insane amount of prob. Monkey King with just like 45-point flight. It's pretty like insane at the time for me. Gosh, obviously like we gotta like shout out the resource, the Fear itself.
The Medic, Book of the Skull.
Absolutely.
Book of the Skull and Split Lip. Absolutely, it's just gnarly. One of the first Heroclix games I ever played. my friend, I thought he was my friend, played the Book of the Skull against me and just thrashed me. And I was like, wow, that sucked. That hurt a lot. The Book of the Skull is just actually just insane.
Yeah. And this set did not have chases. It had LEs that were really cool, like winnable LEs that were really cool. But instead of chases, it had super rares. And the Dracula super rare, obviously, like one of the things that I played
really
the most of. One of the best vampire dials. First of all, he's overcosted. He was 220 points. He started on click 4, so if you did not pop off, he was never going to be worth 220 points. But if you had a solid like monster, I go first, TK, blah, blah, blah kind of team, which like was very possible at the time to do, and especially afterwards with like some other sets, like Dr. Jekyll and random stuff like that, giving him a TK on click 4, he's got Charge, Flurry, Stealth, so popping him out with like a 12 or 13 attack perplexed up, having a 10 speed, so like 5 speed charge with potentially 13 attack, 4 damage, and then that traded steel energy heal above the start line. You could get to click 2, which was important because clicks 1, 2, and 3, clicks that you don't start on that you have to heal to, have Dracula can use Impervious. If an opposing character took damage from his attack since last turn, this power can't be countered and reduces damage to 0 on a result of 4 through 6. So 50-50 chance of reducing damage to 0. The amount of times I got this guy to like click 2 and my opponent just attacked, and I just, 50-50'd managed to reduce it to 0 was amazing.
Nice.
And then, if you get him to click 1, I won't say in today's day and age he's worth 220 points on click 1, but if you can get him to click 1, it almost feels like a solid investment, because 13 speed, that special charge, flurry, stealth power, 13 attack, 5 damage exploit, 19 defense with the blood armor. The only thing that this guy was missing was like some way to remove tokens from himself, and also like I guess like 70 points. If he was 150, it would be like way better. But no, a solid Dracula, one of my favorite pieces to try and, as far as vampire dials go, I probably sank way more effort into getting him to work than any other one. And then super rare Colossus, and just because it's like the Colossus Juggernaut, and then it's Kurth, I think. Kurth is the one that charge breaks away automatically when Kurth is given an action to use charge. He can use the carry ability to carry an opposing character as if they were a friendly character. So this was like one of the only things that could do this at this point in time. You could give this 199 point Kurth, this rare figure, an action, and when he was given an action to use charge, he could use the carry ability to carry an opposing character as if it was a friendly character. And what he did after actions resolved, you dealt damage to the carried character equal to the total number of walls and squares of blocking terrain destroyed during that action. He had with this click on top dial, he had an 11 speed. So almost impossible, but potentially you could do 11 damage to a single character just by moving. Or I guess, no, he had to use charge, so it would have been 6 squares.
Okay.
But yeah, Kurth was...
It was gnarly.
It was fun when it popped off. Normally you didn't plan, you didn't build around this specific action, but if you were like, hey, we're on a map with a bunch of walls, I have barrier, let's get 4 damage going. So it was fairly easy to do. And it's one of those things where you didn't have to roll an attack. It felt very Juggernaut-esque. I think that's the reason I liked it the most, was just Juggernaut grabbing somebody and then just carrying them through walls, kind of like a Omni-Man holding Mark through that.
Oh,
jeez,
yeah, just busting through everything.
Yeah, just insane, kind of gross, but doesn't hold up at all. It's just at the time was very cool.
All right. I have nothing in Teen Titans. Go ahead and talk about Bunker. Sure, I guess.
Oh man, nothing about Teen Titans.
I've got nothing in Teen Titans. I truly don't. Truly don't.
And I will say the chase set, very interesting.
Just talk. Come on. The chase
Team bases, very cool.
That was they were a choice.
Yeah. It's a weird choice.
No, I actually really enjoyed team bases. I didn't play the crazy ones, or I do exclusively play the craziest one. But at the time, I've only ever played like nerfed team bases. So I personally like team bases, and I think the ones in Teen Titans do look really good. Like I think the Teen Titans team base being like the cover of like the first Teen Titans book, where they're like the Titans Tower and all that stuff, is a really really cool looking team base.
Number one figure in the set for sure is the only figure that does not have Teen Titans team ability keyword or like belong in one of the, I mean technically kind of belongs in one of the books, but like it's just the Flash, the Super Air Flash. He's 14 speed hypersonic 10 for 3 at his top dial, or 13 speed hypersonic 10 for 2 with enhancement. And then he has special speed power. He's got like special defense powers. One of like the better figures, and he could go on the Justice League team base. But yeah, Bunker is 100% the only thing that you should really consider from this set.
Of course.
Other than Grunge, because Grunge is just cool.
The Gen 13 stuff was cool.
Bunker had a ability that has not really been duplicated since he was made. So he had psionic constructs as a trait, and that was terrain markers placed by Bunker are not removed until they are destroyed or until Bunker uses a power that places that type of terrain marker on the map. So, well, I'll go into the rest of his dial. So at his top dial, he has Bunker can use barrier and toughness. And then he has Force Blast, Smoke Cloud, and Perplex. Those are his powers. So if Bunker were to use, I don't know, Barrier, those barrier markers are not removed until they are destroyed or until Bunker uses that power to places that type of terrain marker on the map. So if you put down Barrier and then you put down Smoke Cloud, it does not like change. You get 4 squares of barrier, and then you get your entire smoke cloud. And until somebody destroys that is on the map. And until he uses it again, that is on the map. And then his bottom dial, he has Leap Climb with a special attack power, Purple Fist. He can use Barrier, Incapacitate, and Quake. So he has a full dial of Barrier. And then, he gets Willpower and Close Combat Expert. So just a menace. Just like a real jerk, somebody who could put like permanent barrier, really close off certain maps, really control the tempo of how the game went for 89 points. If he doesn't get Legacy card, I'd be surprised, because it genuinely seems like this is like the only figure from the set that anyone should remember outside of the team bases and stuff like that. I guess like Deathstroke, Ravager. There's a few things I kind of remember. Gizmo's kind of cool. Static.
Static's probably the biggest one for me. Getting Static was just like, oh, this rocks. This is awesome. Like, this is my childhood is finally in Heroclix. Like, this is so amazing.
But
we get
it's all
slew of the 2013 mini sets. The only one I will mention is the Kick Arse set. Dave Lazowski, Battle Guy. So Chase, Dave Lazowski, I loved playing. And then the 009 Battle Guy, I loved playing. I loved these movies. I thought they were really fun. I really liked Colonel Stars and Stripes. I really enjoyed that figure. Really liked him as a character. Cosplayed him. Really think he's really cool. So I quite enjoyed. Probably one of the first sets I ever owned all of. Like, I bought the starter. Really hard to get Colonel Stars and Stripes, and then like slowly got all of the main set. But I really liked this movie. I also just really liked that WizKids at the time was like, yeah, Iron Maiden, sure, Kick-Ass, sure, BioShock Infinite, absolutely, Pacific Rim, why not? Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, they were already doing that. Lone Ranger, why? But okay, it's here. Like, I just liked this. It felt like the experimental phase of just, sure, throw it at the wall, let's bring it on, let's do this, let's do that. I guess there is a Fellowship of the Ring set mixed in here, but yeah, like I really enjoyed this little mini era of HeroClix in 2013, where it was like literally all these kind of off the wall properties. Let's make them in HeroClix, and I really liked that. And I wished more of them. Like none of these were legal in modern age. All these off different properties, but I wish they all were. Whether or not they would have affected it at the time, I honestly don't know. I wasn't playing competitive modern. Wasn't even trying to. Wasn't even really had a local venue to play at. But I really, really enjoyed that these are just in HeroClix, and it really rocked. So yeah, but we can talk about Wolverine and the X-Men. We can talk about Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah.
The other team-based set.
I mean, I do own the full Lone Ranger set, but
I mean, I do. I mean, believe it or not, I do
that's
too.
4 figures and 2 bystanders. I don't think that's worth talking about. No, Wolverine and the X-Men. If you've listened to this show at any point before this episode, I've probably mentioned at some point during like listener questions and stuff how I think this is like one of the quintessential X-Men sets. It just feels so good, so filled out perfectly for like my era of X-Men. It's got Marauders, it's got obviously X-Men, it's got Brotherhood, it's got Shi'ar, it has Alpha Flight, it has like just all the like key points that are amazing things. A big not really big, but it does have a Hellfire Club theme. Characters that like we've never really like seen in a big way again. I mean, I would have said that before X-Men Rising or X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga, but like Legion was like, this was the first Legion. This was the first Inquire. I assume the first War Star, maybe not there, but yeah, like Mojo, X-Man. This was the first X-Man. I don't know if I'm pretty sure this is the only X-Man, and that's X-Man. I mean Nathan Gray, the Age of Apocalypse Cable version clones, whatever. We've got this like the duo from Professor X, Magneto, Exodus. Gosh, and then like the chase theme was just, it wasn't the greatest, I'll say, because I feel like it was a little too soon. But the Phoenix 5 got chase themed, and it's pretty awesome. And then obviously the resource style for like the Phoenix Force also had like a component of that. But no, just really good figures, a ton of random like X-Men, like very prominent figures. So like this is where we got Shadow King, we got Silver Samurai, we got like a lot of stuff. Phantom X, Spiral, all the things that like I would love to have in a set, and they were in this set. So I love this set. I think the whole thing is worth collecting. That's just my opinion. Like the one problem I have with the set is the only Wolverine in it is the common, and it's not great unless you play it with like X or with Alpha Flight, and then suddenly he has like a 13 attack with blades.
Ironically, he's probably my favorite piece in the set, and that was at the time he was the like only Wolverine like that was like in a Wolverine costume that had animal keyword, and I really liked that he had the animal keyword because I played him on a Capwolf team, because in that comic Wolverine is like Feral Wolverine with Capwolf, Wolfsbane, and Wolverine, and like Cable's in it. I think Dr. Voodoo is in it too, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I can play an animal theme team with Capwolf, Wolfsbane, and Wolverine. I loved it. So yeah, I really liked this Wolverine had the animal keyword. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and there's technically 2. There's like the gravity feed, but I like the main set one being 8 speed, charge, 12 attack. And then if you play him with Vindicator or, gosh, I can't remember like the other Vindicator or I don't know, Alpha Flight leader guy. He gave all Alpha Flight +1 attack. So like, yeah, having a 13 attack Wolverine that was kind of hard to kill. And then you could also put him on like the X-Men Blue Strike Force team base. There's a lot of cool stuff in this set. And then also, not for nothing, obviously, there's team bases. But then there was also the Macran Crystal, which was like the first like equipable stop click. It was when this character would be KO'd, instead turn its dial to its last non-KO click and heal it 2 damage, remove this relic. So it was a little bit like Living Legend, but also just
I use this thing a lot too. I equip that or try to relic roll, assign it to people quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't have anything until we get to AVX. So shout out to everything in between. I guess I will actually say shout out to The Hobbit, Desolation of Smog, or Smaug, or however you want to say it. Alfred was a great piece to play. He was a ton of fun. And then I also just always enjoyed the Hobbit sets more so than Lord of the Rings sets. Just thought they were really fun. They had really like good team synergy with all the dwarves and stuff. So always really enjoyed those. But
I'll shout out the Mage Knight Resurrection.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Very cool set. I bought it for like $30, whole set, like one of each kind of thing on eBay. Moonborn Dunewolf.
I knew you were going to say Moonborn Dunewolf.
Absolute favorite generic. Not of all time, but just like from this set, absolutely. And it still, to this day, kind of surprises me. So, doesn't have a lot going on. Kind of basic stats, like poor stats for the time. But has Born of Desert Darkness as a trait. Moonborn Dunewolf can use Stealth. When Moonborn Dunewolf occupies hindering terrain, he can use Flurry. So, like, obviously, you always want to be in hindering terrain. Pretty obvious. Pretty awesome. But then he has the Mage Spawn team ability, which is uncopyable, so don't get your hopes up. But Mage Spawn says, at the beginning of the game, choose a friendly character with the highest point value to be this team's master. If a character using this team ability is within 4 squares of its master, when the master is given a move action, the character using this team ability may be given a move action as a free action. So you pick somebody with the highest point value, you move them up, Moonborn Dunewolf, free action, moves up, probably, hopefully, into hindering terrain, and then the same turn could Flurry. So, like, top dial, that's a 9 for 2, that's pretty bad. But mid dial, that's an 8 for 2 with Blades and Battle Fury. So, he's not good. But, like, a bunch of these, and it was a really fun time. Like, I love the idea of how this guy works. And then also I just love the sculpts of this set. So that's Mage Knight.
Yeah, absolutely. The piece I want to shout out the most in Avengers vs. X-Men, this was my actual first, what would you call it, organized play that I ever played in. I only played in month 1 and then the final month. But I loved getting the Avengers starter. That was the first starter that had action tokens. This was the first time. The Avengers and X-Men starters were the first times we ever had action tokens. Like, I want to say, like, actually made by WizKids. It was really cool. There might have been some older ones or whatever, but these were like the poker chip ones, the action tokens, we know them today. So it, like, really rocked. Playing in these, like, events, having to build, like, one of your figures from the starters, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really fun. Little me thinking he could ever win Dark Phoenix Cyclops or the... what was it called? Phoenix Buster Iron Man was hilarious because he did not have a snowball's chance. But getting the Phoenix Force and getting all the fragments was like getting unlimited power, like cheat code for Heroclix. Where like this was definitely the era of Heroclix where I was like, oh, I'm like winning. And I can put this bad boy on like anyone. And I can be winning even faster and better. It rocked. The Phoenix Force... Well, good, bad, or otherwise, I loved this resource as, like, the first resource I really ever played with and, like, put it on a bunch of teams and really enjoyed playing with it. I loved the Phoenix Force, but the figure, more than anything that I want to shout out from Avengers X-Men is the LE Black Panther. I forget if it's, like, from month 2 or month 1 or whatever. I always loved this Black Panther. Thought he was really cool. Thought he felt like Black Panther. And his You Don't Get to Give Up ability... where this is back when pushing damage was a thing. So years ago, for you youngins, when you didn't have a stripe through your shield, I know that everybody has a stripe through their shield. They used to not. If you didn't have a stripe through your shield and you got a second action token, you took a damage. And that sucked. It was really tough. And you really had to make a choice on whether or not you wanted to push your piece, on whether or not you just wanted to clear. Because you could do another action, you could attack, but you're going to get damaged, and that's going to hurt. But this Black Panther said... once during your turn, another friendly character within 4 squares that shares a keyword can use willpower. So we just gave somebody else willpower. Just constantly. And you could choose who it was to get willpower. It rocked. So I really, really always liked this Black Panther. I thought it was like a really cool ability that he had. He also had like Empower, Leadership, and Outwit on his damage power, which was just felt like a stacked damage power. He was also a wild card with the Spider-Man team ability, I guess now that's 50-50 senses, which is kind of actually really sick for this Black Panther. But I like it. I always like this Black Panther. Looking back on his dial now, it's like, oh, it's not really quite worth 100 points, not in today's age, but nothing from 10 years ago is. But I really like this Black Panther. This is like one of the first Black Panthers I ever had where I was like, oh yeah, this is T'Challa. He's stealthy, he's got blades, he's got leadership at wit, he's like a great leader. I just absolutely love this Black Panther. Thought it was like one of the coolest figures ever.
I agree. I think that's from AVX probably one of like the standout ones. I know that Professor X also, this was like one of like the maybe only figures that had so Professor X can use Mastermind. When he does, he may divide the damage dealt between two adjacent friendly characters if they each share a keyword with him. I don't know how many dividing damage via Mastermind figures there are, but like that was kind of crazy. Obviously he's 150 points, so like kind of wild, but yeah, that was like pretty odd. And then yeah, like obviously shout out 2x2 Dark Phoenix Cyclops, amazing sculpt. I've never played it at full points because kind of a stout point dial to try and make any one figure work. But yeah, really liked AVX. I think this was kind of like the proto, like obviously way long ago, but this was kind of like the proto fan dial, quote unquote, like what would this character look like if they were at their most powerful, because each one of these characters had like a really high point value for the time. And now we're getting like better versions, obviously, but yeah, this is still like the Wolverine at 175, super long dial, Scarlet Witch at 150.
I really liked that Scarlet Witch. She was one of my like favorites.
Yeah, all of them had something, that's for sure. And then that was AVX though. It was great.
Invincible event. Iron Man was probably one of my favorite sets of all time. This is like fall, November, so like winter-ish 2013, and I loved Invincible Iron Man. Like, it was just like an instant, this set rocks. This set had all sorts of cool, like, iron people, had Detroit Steel. He was bad back then, but he's so cool looking. I had to play him, even though he's terrible. He was so cool looking. I really liked that it had all of the Wrecking Crew in the set. It had some amazing War Machines in the set. But probably my favorite piece was Ironmonger 2.0, because he was a figure that made other characters explode. When a friendly character is KO'd by an opponent's attack, you deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character adjacent to that friendly character. That rocked. So that was every friendly character, no matter what. Didn't say standard. If you had a bunch of bystanders, damage was coming, and you were getting pinged, and it was really sick. So I love the Ironmonger 2.0, but there's literally so much from Invincible Iron Man to like. It's the chase theme was one of the first chase themes I ever remember thinking to myself, oh, I need to own all these guys, because they all worked together and they all rocked. They looked cool. They weren't like
they were all custom bases,
comics. They're awesome. The Iron Man, like through the years, it's so cool.
It's fairly inexpensive, but if you can get the like full chase set of the Invincible Iron Man chase set, it's very cool to display. The Mandarin rings, obviously, and then for whatever reason with Invincible Iron Man, we got the rest of Alpha Flight. So yeah, like Puck, Guardian, Aurora, North Star. I think, was this not the set that Shaman was in? Yeah, Shaman, the super rare. He was the only Alpha Flight that was a super rare. Insane combo of like actually made Alpha Flight somewhat terrifying to play against. One of the best sculpts for Wrecker, and then just like the duo Iron Man War Machine super rare, the King Hyperion and Hyperion Bystander, not Bystander, the Hyperion Prime that started the whole Squadron Supreme. It's Prime, like super Prime kind of like gimmick that happened for quite a while. Was really cool. Also, I don't remember who this character was. Like, I think it was like a fan pick or something. But Death's Head was
a fan vote.
Yeah. Was this not like, it was just like a fan vote? It wasn't like somebody won Worlds or anything. So
yep,
that was cool. I played it like a few times, but I never like actually got it to work. So
Yeah, like maybe once or twice. But he was cool. Like, knowing nothing about the character, I was like, oh, the dial rocks. And he looks awesome. Just two big guns, like an axe and stuff. Like, that head was just cool. He was just cool. Shout out Ellie, Uru Metal Absorbing Man. Dude's broken. He's, like, broken to this day. He's just, yeah, kind of insane. His whole, like, only takes damage if I roll on a d6 the exact amount of damage I'm about to take, and that's hilarious. Yeah, this Absorbing Man was just
still play
so insanely broken.
occasionally because he's like, when it comes to don't die kind of tactics, he's one of like the best. Like it either really really works, or sometimes you get like crazy unlucky and it just absolutely just fails. But man, yeah, Uru Absorbing Man, definitely worth like throwing on a build once or twice.
Dude was nuts. Slosh was another set, or sorry, Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. Slosh was just another set that was just really fun. I really enjoyed Sealed in Slosh. I liked the Legion, even though I don't really care about them at all as like comic characters. I loved the Legion of Doom, of course, in the set. That was a ton of fun. But there are always just a lot of figures that were just really crazy cool fun. Toyman and the toys were really cool, like a great mechanic. The big giants in it, the Validus, the what's her face, Giganta, all those like really tall giant figures, Mordru, were just great, and they were like really, really, really fun figures to play. So Superman and Legion Superheroes, though, the 024 Lex Luthor was another one who was like fighting for, oh man, this is like borderline the best Lex Luthor, and I really enjoyed him, and I really enjoyed just a lot of like the Legion's just kind of thematicness and how well they worked together, the Legion of Doom. But Legion of Superheroes was like a really fun set. Shout out broken stuff like Lydia Maller and Highfather and Bizarro, I guess. Shout out to the really broken, crazy stuff. But yeah.
Personally, I loved the chases from this set. They all had long dial, stop click, and then especially Guardian, for whatever reason, it was, so he had the space warp stop click. That was, when this click is revealed, stop turning the dial. Guardian can use phasing teleport. When he does, after actions resolve, he may immediately use regeneration as a free action, which just made, he's 207 points, but made him, at the time, insanely annoying to put down. Because if you can't double tap him multiple times, you can't get him off that click, he would just phase next turn and then regen as free. And there was no like negative to the stop click, because that's not technically a stop click, it was just stop turning the dial. So yeah, that guy was insane to deal with in certain situations. Yeah, like you said, Highfather, I think my favorite, obviously, from the set, Toyman, the fact that like you can put different toys on his base. You could add like, you do like 100 airplanes or like 12 Supermans, like whatever you wanted to pay the cost for, but it was funny, it was fun. The Legion of Superheroes flight ring that just gave flight to characters.
Yeah.
That was pretty much all. It was 5 points, gave somebody flight. Is there anything that I like really... Oh, Hellspawn and...
Oh, man, I can't believe... Okay, Hellspawn is actually my real favorite figure from this set. I totally forgot about Hellspawn.
Hellspawn
He rocks.
Was insane. Double power action, select an opposing character of lower point value, place Hellspawn and the chosen character in each other's squares. After after actions resolve, Hellspawn may be given a close or ranged combat action as free. So not only did you potentially just like phase across the board, like no range, line of fire, whatever, it doesn't have this power on its top click, but at the time it wasn't hard to get figures to like click 2 at all. So yeah, getting to click 2, activating this, suddenly being an 11 for 3 with outwit, perplex, and then also just having an opposing character in your starting area or like next to like all of your guys was just insane. Just the beat downs that would happen from Hellspawn.
Yeah, it was gnarly. Hellspawn, I mean, you got to say the classic Hellspawn Krampus team, capture your guy right away. That was awesome. Just Hellspawn he just rocked. I also, I guess, Legion is the first set of 2014, I guess, besides Yu-Gi-Oh. Shout out Yu-Gi-Oh. There's fun stuff in there. Alligator people, Time Wizard, probably my all-time favorite. But 2014 is, I think, still probably set for set, like property for property, my favorite year ever, literally ever in HeroClix. Seriously, I really don't know if it's ever gotten better than that. That's not to say we haven't had great years prior, or like this year's, I think, is also an awesome flagship year. But 2014 was just like some of my all-time favorite properties, some of my best memories, just ever playing HeroClix. And I think Legion's a good start to that. You know, like it just had really fun mechanics, really solid characters that were really fun in the set. And then I'll say probably the best movie set ever made, outside of maybe the crazy meta that was Black Widow like movie set. But I think for the movie it was, like being like one of like the best Marvel movies ever made, I just straight up think that the Captain America Winter Soldier movie set is just one of the best movie sets just ever. The thematicness of the SHIELD agents, yes, none of them switched to Hydra. They didn't know they did that yet in the movie, but the Winter Soldier in the Sniper's Nest is amazing. The Captain America, Black Widow, Nick Fury, that if they're playing on a theme team, do special stuff. Oh, the Black Widow duo figure. Widow. Oh, literally. Oh my gosh.
At the time,
amazing.
Was insane. Like,
just one of the best figures just ever. It literally rocks so absurdly, so insanely much. I love this figure. That duo, the Cap and Bucky. But yeah, oh dude, Cap and Black Widow was like, oh, this is the best duo figure ever made. Like, just straight up, you've finally cracked the case of how to make duo attack like insanely just awesome. And this was the figure. Like, it rocked.
But
yeah,
I agree. Like,
yeah,
tons of like really solid stuff in the set. There's only a few like misses in that set. Brock Rumlow, who
that was tough.
Like,
yeah, Crossbones before he's Crossbones, and he just has the weirdest power set ever. Yeah, Brock. It was tough.
What was the weird time loop movie that he ended up being in afterwards? But no, Brock Rumlow, as he's referred to, the only thing that didn't make like a ton of sense in that set. Like, it made sense for him to
the character to be there.
At no point in like the film did anyone be like, "Hey, Brock Rumlow, Mr. Rumlow, how's it going?"
Mr. I don't even know if Rumlow, we ever, if people ever called him Bra. Like, maybe they had to have referred to him at some point, like Special Agent or something. Maybe they called him Brock. But like, I literally had to remember, like, oh yeah, this is the Crossbones guy. It was like, man, when did they ever call this dude Brock Rumlow? He was like a great character. Like, he was pretty solid, like, character, being like whatever, but he wasn't really Crossbones yet, so he didn't really do a whole lot except get beat up by Captain America. I mean, that was like most people in this movie, just kind of existed to get beat up by Captain America. But still, like, Batroc had that amazing scene where it's like, oh wow, you've taken one of the most ridiculous Captain America villains ever, and you've like actually made me scared of him, like made him like a really good just fighter and everything. Also, Batroc, this is when we first got the pirate keyword, which is insane, which is just like really cool. But yeah, straight up, Batroc was like the figure they were like, oh yeah, we better give this guy the pirate keyword, and we better make pirate a keyword, period. Which I just think is so funny that somehow, like, they were robbing a boat, they were pirates. But I think it's really funny that Batroc the Leaper from the Captain America Winter Soldier is like the first character literally ever to get the pirate keyword. Like, they invented it for him, and that's awesome. Okay, that's enough of that. The Deadpool set. Deadpool set's one of my favorite sets of all time. Blind Owl, Weasel, The Punisher, Bullseye, Dr. Bong, GW Bridge, Cable, the zombie chases, all of them. The Wolverine, Hydra, Wolverine, literally almost everything in the Deadpool set. The Deadpool core, Flag Smasher, literally almost everything in the Deadpool set. I love this set. It honestly is awesome.
If I was a bigger Deadpool fan, if I was like as big of a Deadpool fan as I am a Wolverine fan, this is like what Wolverine and the X-Men was. This is that set for Deadpool. Having Kidpool,
that's so fair.
Having Black Cat, Domino, Lady Bullseye, all of the, gosh, I can't remember what they were called, but like Elektra, Punisher, Red Hulk,
the Thunderbolts, yeah, dude, the red and black Thunderbolts, yeah, they rock.
Yeah.
Oh, they rock.
Venom, like all those characters, Lady Deadpool, obviously, is like your meta staple. There's Copycat.
Copycat. Oh, she broken.
Yeah.
She's literally literally breaks the game, insanely broken. Yeah.
Black Talon, also like
Dude,
up there with that.
Tiamat, like again, a legacy card we're getting now. Who had a legacy? Tiamat balled out so hard in Deadpool set. The Superior Spider-Man, one of the greatest sculpts. Like, oh my gosh, it's so good seeing evil Dr. Octopus. That's that Spider-Man with like the temporal astral projection Peter Parker consciousness behind him, like with the spider bites. Again, the toys were kind of a precursor to the spider bites in this one, the spider bots. And it was like, oh, these rock.
Insanely iconic comic series.
Yeah.
Superior Spider-Man, and probably like the best justice we'll ever get to Doc Ock controlling Spider-Man with like on the sculpt
100%.
Ghost of Peter behind him, just amazing. The Switch style,
awesome.
Typhoid Mary, Bloody Mary, amazing.
Yeah.
Really, like almost nothing in this set. Like one of the first super rares I ever pulled, Arnim Zola, which I was
He's fun.
I looked
He's
at the
really
dial
fun.
and I was like, nah, like not great. But then it was, you can make 2 bystanders that just have Perplex.
Pretty good.
Pretty
Pretty
solid
dang good. Yeah.
One of the first super rares I was ever gifted was the Body Slide Cable. Super
I love
rare.
that Cable so much.
And then
He looks like how Cable should look. To me, like this is what Cable looked like, and I love it.
This is like quintessential Deadpool Cable.
Yeah.
Where he's just massive like ammo packs,
Huge shoulder pads,
yeah, like
just these
pockets
dumb big
all
shoulder pads.
all over the place, giant guns, and then the rare prime and the rare non-prime Shang-Chi and Cat. The Cat was the first one that I pulled, the first prime that I ever pulled, and then him can use Close Combat Expert as a close combat action, which is just now
A little precursor to what things to come.
Yeah, back in the day, you could be like, I'm going to be charging, flurrying, 12 for 4, both attacks, and like that was just how it worked. And then when an opposing character with a relic or resource assigned to them makes an attack, that player rolls a d6 that can't be rerolled. On a 1 or 2, the player chooses to remove the assigned relic from the game or remove an item attached to that resource from the game. So he had like this anti-resource relic ability that a lot of characters nothing really had that up until this point, and it was quite a while till we got like that stuff kind of reined in. But no, this whole set, like not everything was like absolutely perfect, but this whole set was like great in its own way. Grasshopper also, like, this wasn't a big Great Lakes Avengers set, but like Grasshopper was like
Wasn't, but we finally got Grasshopper, which was nice.
Great Lake Avenger for a while. And that was like the way this whole set was, just like the best version of like certain characters that made sense to appear in a Deadpool kind of thing.
Literally, this actually probably is my favorite set of all time. I love it so much. Days of Future Past, probably one of the best gravity feed sets of all time as well, with the mystical. Was crazy hard to get the Nimrod chase, so it felt like, man, does he even exist? People would be getting, and like that was the only chase. It was like they all went up to rare, and then it was just Nimrod, and he was like crazy hard to KO, all this stuff. So like this set again had so many great like X-Men characters in it. It had I still think probably the best versions of Sentinels we ever got. The 2 different like attack and defense mode Sentinels that could switch. They had program dials. They had all these. You could take their arms off. You could take their heads off. You could take their torso off and replace it with damaged parts or eye lasers or hand lasers or tentacles, like all this like things, all this cool stuff. Loved the Sentinels for that. The Sentinels also came with like a ton of cool bystanders. Another just amazingly good set. My favorite piece in the set is the uncommon 013 Wolverine. I played the heck out of him. This is like the tan and brown costume, but he could use regen as free when he had 2 action tokens. And so you would like attack once with him, right? You attack again. Maybe he took damage somewhere in there. Okay, regen is free. Beginning of your next turn before you clear, regen is free again and then clear. It was awesome. It was nasty.
Yeah.
again, Phoenix Force, this dude put invulnerability on him. He was a menace. I loved this like uncommon Wolverine. Like, it was so awesome. But again, Days of Future Past, just an amazing set.
Yeah, I'll shout out the absolute worst version of Franklin Richards we've ever seen.
Fair enough.
Days of Future Past. It's got like future version of Franklin Richards, which after Jonathan Hickman showed us a future version of Franklin Richards, like this one's just he's got stealth, barrier, and then he can use Empower, Enhancement, and Support when he has less than 2 action tokens adjacent from the character's powers, can't be countered, and their combat values can't be modified by opposing characters. Not terrible, but like Enhancement and Power Support, not really like the adult Franklin that I think the average comic book reader expects nowadays, because obviously he grew up to be Galactus was his hero.
Yeah. Crazy
That's what
powerful.
I'll shout out though from that set. Also, Ariel just being real fun, cheap support piece kind of thing.
Next up, War of Light. Again, this was probably the best HeroClix organized play ever. And this is me playing in I played in 2 of these for War of Light, but the buzz on HC Realms, on Facebook, on all the groups of just pulling entities. The entities being $300-$400 chases, because again, you could only get 2 boosters every month. That's all you could get for War of Light. So it was so limited to get War of Light that if you got a chase, they were worth so much. And also they were the most stupid, incredibly meta, crazy broken things ever. But War of Light, just an amazing set. Getting lanterns. People just love lanterns. Even if you're one of the 5 people that don't like lanterns, majority of people just kind of like lanterns. And they are visually cool to look at. Their power set, literally they all have the exact same power set. But there's just a different emotion that makes them tick. And yet, they are also cool, and they also all have insanely cool and diverse designs. And I love War of Light for that reason. War of Light was this set that made me like Guy Gardner as a character and get more into Lantern books, because it was just such a fun set. And I was like, oh, who's this guy that everybody hates? Oh no, this guy actually rocks. They're dumb. They're big doo-doo heads. Just kidding. Well, a little bit. Anyways, it just rocked. Getting all of the free Sector 2814 figures, the Kyle, the Guy. Shout out Ron Vidar, whoever you are, dude. But you were fun to play, at the very least. War of Light is just, again, an insanely iconic and insanely good HeroClix set. And it's got to be, one of the best War of Light. War of Light has to just be the best, OP kit of all time. It just has to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just... literally could not sing the praises of War of Light more. It's so amazing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any beating it at all. It's just genuinely impossible. It's
just so good.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Skipping it, honestly, it was cool that we got a movie set for Guardians of the Galaxy. The Yondu was really good. But got to talk about just the main Guardians of the Galaxy set. Once again, this is a set. This is the most I'd ever spent on HeroClix in my entire life, was just buying boosters of the set, because I liked these zombie chases, this set of them, more than the last ones, and these ones actually are kind of more broken, way better. So I was constantly buying them. My brick of this set, I got the zombie Red Skull, and that meant a lot to me, because when we saw the preview, I'm not going to get too deep into it. It's HeroClix, the plastic miniatures game. But I had some family members in the hospital at the time, and then I remember checking one of the computers in the lobby because I just didn't want to be in the room anymore. And I'm 15, I'm a young kid. And that Red Skull, that zombie Red Skull gets previewed, and I'm just this is so awesome. This is so cool. It references Colonel America. I love the zombie storyline. It was really awesome. And so when I got that later that year and I actually pulled the zombie Red Skull, I was so just through the roof ecstatic, just so happy about it. So nothing but amazing memories with Guardians of the Galaxy this set. Getting a stupid crazy Beyonder, getting all the zombies, the zombie team base, mind blown. They had switch clicks, but what are they for? They must be for a team base. They have a team base whatever thing, but when's the team base going to happen? We finally get it in this set. The Space Iron Man is cool. The Rocket Raccoon and the Groot super rares are amazing. You get all the cool like Inhumans sprinkled throughout the set. You get the Guardians of the Galaxy like on really cheap like common uncommon figures throughout the set. All the really cool Kree. Shout out 007B Captain Marvel or Marvel, whatever. His Unibeam rocked. That power was awesome. All the generics in the set. Jason of Sparta, kind of crazy good later on. But like, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is just, Major Victory. Gotta shout out Major Victory. He just rocks, just period. Major Victory is awesome. So yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy, literally such a fun set. So many good memories. Love the Guardians of the Galaxy set. So good.
Yeah, I think when it comes to that, the only things that I really really consider is just like the 2x2s, like the Colossals, I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff. Like you said, I think what is it? Obviously the Chases, but it's one of the Gravity figures. Or maybe it's not the Gravity. Is it the main set? Yeah, the main set recorder. The
recorders.
Prime
Okay.
451. In any time you've ever played or ever had it, it's suggested that you play a Bizarro dial, like start from last click, work up. Recorder 451 has a special attack power that is only on his last click, and that is God Killer. When Recorder 451 is given a power action, deal Recorder 451 one unavoidable damage. So in a reverse dial game, this would click him to click 5 instead of KOing him like normal. And for the rest of the game, the character chosen for his trait has Colossal Size and Power Cosmic, can use Impervious, and modifies all combat values by +1. So if you wanted to be really cheeky in a Bizarro dial game where you like start on last click, heal up, you could play Recorder 451, something that heals somebody when they take damage, or some like or support or whatever, and then you could just keep doing this power action to give somebody +3 combat values, plus like Colossal Size and Power Cosmic. So I've seen that happen. I've never done that myself, but I have seen it happen. It is quite ridiculous. But no, I have a real hard time picking anything other than like you said, like the zombies.
The zombies,
Scroll,
they're just
like,
so insanely good. Yeah.
Yeah, Super Scroll still kind of like holds up to this day. Gladiator is like one of my favorites. Doctor Doom,
He's got a cool mechanic.
And then yeah, Cosmic Control Rod. Shout out to Annihilus, who is what, like a super rare?
He's like a super rare. He's like 200-point super rare who didn't have willpower unless you gave him. But he started with the Cosmic Control Rod if you played him in Constructed, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Probably one of the first figures that ever had like an ability that they could just like start with a relic / equipment, So it was really neat.
If you had him, but not the Cosmic Control Rod.
Oh, you're playing him wrong.
Bad.
You gotta have the Cosmic Control Rod for him. He was bad. Oh, he's really bad.
Yeah. But the Cosmic Control Rod, gave Cosmic Energy. If the character could already use it, they instead modified their combat values +1. So, pretty solid. The fact that like it is Annihilus's equipment typically, and he didn't have the like bonus thing to it except on certain clicks.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, no, he didn't even get it on certain clicks. It was just like it gave him the Power Cosmic, and like that made him almost playable at 200 points because he had Running Shot Pulse Wave with 4 damage, and at the time you could single target, so it was somewhat cool. But I'll say best sculpts of Guardians of the Galaxy, probably even to this day, and then especially because Iron Man was in his like Guardians of the Galaxy one. And
that was really cool. I like that armor.
Yeah, best sculpts of like the Black Order. Like we've gotten them technically again, but
it's the same sculpts, right?
Multiple of them are just
they look
using
good.
The sculpt. Black Dwarf, Supergiant, that's all the same sculpts. I don't know if Proxima Midnight is. I don't know about her and Corvus Glaive if they're the same sculpts, but I think Proxima might be. And then Isaac for sure is. He was reused. So yeah, it's just good sculpts. Also, is this not the only Gore the God Butcher we have? I'm pretty sure it's the only Gore the God Butcher we have.
I think it is. No, well, we got one in Avengers Forever.
Oh, that's right. We did get a new Gore. And he was the super rare. Yeah, I still kind of like the old one.
No, I definitely prefer the old one.
Yeah.
Definitely like the old one more. Flash, I know I was just like blowing smoke for how much I love the year of 2014 for HeroClix. The Flash set to me felt like not the world's greatest note. I think it definitely hit the peak with War of Light, kind of kept the peak with the Zombies and Guardians of the Galaxy. And then it was like, oh yeah, Flash is a cool set. It didn't really like destroy like over the peak, over the top of what in my mind Deadpool and War of Light were. But I think Flash was like a fine set to end the year off on. It had a lot of really fun pieces, but not really like I'm not really a Flash fan, so I didn't personally love it, but I know a few people did. But probably my favorite piece from it was just the Samuroid. I absolutely thought it was hilarious. Again, know nothing about what this guy is in comics, but he's a robot samurai. That's awesome. That's like literally in my mind, I'm like, this is the coolest generic ever. This rocks. Are you kidding me? So the Samuroid was really up there for me. I really enjoyed Rainbow Raider. He's just hilarious.
Yeah.
The Roy G. Biv Dial is awesome. I really thought he was a fun piece to play. But yeah, those are probably my favorite pieces in the set. I did actually use shout out Jake Williams, the Harley Quinn championship figure, the very controversial Harley Quinn figure. But a fun figure to play, like a really fun figure to play, making like random people you're put in, all that stuff. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Oh, and then it also had like Engineer, who is supposed to be kind of DC's answer / a more affordable version of like Super Scroll, like just like a DC pick a power piece. So that was really cool. But I like the Flash set, just kind of like more so picking and choosing than the entire set as a whole.
Yeah, I personally loved the speed tokens. I love anything that like accomplish this and your character gets better. Like whether it's the upgrade, whatever. The ones that I personally like, speed token people that I personally tried to invest a lot of time into. Dark Flash, way too overcosted nowadays, but when he had 2 speed tokens on his card, he just straight up dealt penetrating damage. And at top dial, he was an 11 for 4, which was like insane. Hypersonic 13 squares, deal pen. And then if he had 4 speed tokens, he just ignored all terrain, like destroyed blocking, moved through adjacency, ignored hindering, and ignored elevated. And so like you also increase their speed value for each speed token. So by the time he had 4 speed tokens, he was a 16 speed hypersonic piece. If you could do that, then it was insane. And then also, so that was Reverse Flash. Zoom was another one that I really liked. I think the sculpt was like not the coolest version because all the other all the flashes in the set had like really cool movement stuff. Then Zoom was just like kind of like shimmying kind of thing. But he had traded shape change, and then he had when he attacks an opposing character of the lowest point value on the character's force, you modify his attack and damage +1. When he attacks an opposing character with the highest point value on that character's force, he could use Precision Strike. He was 150 points, so like it was a big investment, but I don't know. A lot of this set was just like glass cannon, maximum movement, kind of low attack, kind of low damage, but like they can still do stuff. I never saw a Black Lantern Zoom actually in play, but obviously like one of like the first things that like when I first started playing, it was when the Flash set dropped and somebody pulled Black Lantern Zoom, and he was like, well, that just bought my brick for me, and that like rang a little bell in my head, and I was like, what? A single figure is worth an entire brick? But it was cool. And then I guess Stormwatch being like a sub theme was really cool. That Harley Quinn, pretty solid. And then KC Flash.
Oh,
I had so many fun memories with KC Flash. Like this like super rare where he could get up to 20 speed all on his own, just insane. And so many fun memories with him zooping around the board for sure.
Yeah. Bringing us to the year of 2015. Again, now this is actually really one of my, not only favorite sets like overall, but has some of my favorite like figures from this year. and that's Justice League Trinity War. That's right. We got back-to-back DC sets. We end the year on a DC set. We start the year on a DC set. Kind of wild, but of course, the uncommon Lex Luthor, the subterfuge Lex Luthor, insanely good, insanely meta at the time. He was like the first time I ever built like a quote-unquote like meta competitive team with like a figure that actually was meta competitive, and I didn't even realize it. And it was awesome. And I was like, oh, I got to use this guy to like call in with ID cards. And then after like the state I played in, didn't win, didn't do that well, wasn't good at Heroclix, 2015. Come on now. But then yeah, I saw like other people were also playing him. Like, oh yeah, okay, so I was right. He is just a good piece. I just wasn't playing him optimized, you know. But I absolutely love Subterfuge Lex Luthor. Like this piece existing and kind of like looking at it made me then go read the Forever Evil storyline, which is now probably just one of my all-time favorite DC storylines like ever. Like Forever Evil is just such a good book. Like this CSA, the Crime Syndicate, are such good villains. Lex Luthor, Bizarro, Sinestro, like Lex making this team while the heroes are just like totally incapacitated or like totally out of the story. It was like such a the Sins were like crazy cool like chases, and like Gluttony was like meta for a while. It was kind of crazy that Gluttony was meta just because you could like only take 1 damage at a time. But back then we didn't make as many attacks. Okay, everybody, so that was kind of crazy. Mazas, I loved playing Mazas. He was always really cool. He's like a super fun piece. We got like the John Constantine, the Nick Necro. This gave us the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman that like shared team abilities that were like meant to be like, this is the Trinity, play them together, which was like really cool. So I liked Justice League Trinity War a lot. Had a lot of good villains. It was also kind of like a lot of random stuff this set, which was cool. You know, maybe it felt random because I wasn't super up to date on like a lot of DC stuff, but it was just really neat. You know, I liked the Forever Evil stuff. I liked the CSA. I liked the Sins, and then just like, I don't know, what kind of felt like random characters, all the mystical Justice League Dark figures kind of felt like out of nowhere, which is neat. There's like a mini Atlantis sub-theme in there with like Mara, Ocean Master, the generic Atlanteans. It was a really fun set. I like Trinity War a lot.
Yeah, I agree. For all the same reasons, like Trinity War had great great generics. It had some amazing super rares. The Trinity in it was amazing. Yeah, like Mazaz, one of my favorites of all time, I think. Even though like just insanely overcosted, but gosh, the ability to just get like you KO something. First, he starts off like insanely strong. You KO something, you get more power. You get more power. That Martian Manhunter, one of the best versions of Martian Manhunter in my opinion. The fact that he had 3 like dials where he's like 300, 200.
Oh yeah,
400, and just. Yeah, straight up had traded, can use phasing, shape change, and stealth. So no matter where you started him, it's just, and it was a lot harder to get around stealth back then. So like, I was like really solid where you could just be like, yeah, I'm gonna hypersonic with him, drop him in hindering, and like now I'm stealth and like top dial. That was like shape change, shape change, stealth, and super senses. And your opponent's like, well, I'm never gonna hit that, so they didn't even try. Nowadays, it's like, oh, all you have is 2 rollouts and no outwits, or like no outwit protection. Well, good luck. But
yeah, you're cooked.
Yeah, the Black Adam from that set was also like really fun to play.
Oh yeah,
he was like, like tangentially competitive, but like yeah, I saw a few people play like the Outsider. I don't know if it. I don't think it was the main set one though. Was the main set Outsider? I feel like
was there an OP kit Outsider? I don't think there was.
There's 2 Outsiders. I don't.
Yeah, there's like a Prime. There's like a Prime, and there's like main set. I don't think there was there wasn't a Gravity Feed Outsider. So it was probably just it was either the Prime or the main like normal Outsider, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is also the first set with Ultra Chases. Oh my gosh,
the common or the uncommon Prime, and then the super rare.
That's probably what it was. Man.
Yeah. So
forgot about the super rare.
And then first set with a Ultra Chase, Ultra Chase, the White Rabbit, which interesting figure, and like obviously they did not intend for it to be like competitive. It wasn't, so like it was cool if you wanted to collect it. It like did something interesting, bystander wise and stuff. But yeah, one of my least favorite generics of all time, the Trench.
The Trench
in this, so the return of CSA. Like they got their due diligence in this set and like heavy force. So that was solid.
Whatever Fast Forces Atomica was a menace. 25-point piece with the CSA team ability with the pseudo like prop and stuff. Like it was like, oh, she's just insane. So yeah, she was like total standout. Age of Ultron, the Age of Ultron movie set. You ready for this, Simeon? Who's your standout piece? Who's your favorite piece from the Age of Ultron movie set? Well, actually, gotta just really quick shout out the Avengers Assemble traits, where like every Avenger had this, where if they hit, you could like your opponent had to choose either something really good for you or like actually it was something like kind of good for you or like really bad for your opponent. Sometimes that was switched or swapped or whatever, but like it was just like, wow, playing the Avengers as a team, they played super, super well together. And I always loved that for the Avengers like Age of Ultron movie set. Like the Avengers Assemble trait was just really, really, really cool. I really enjoyed the crazy team synergy it felt like the Avengers had. That, like kind of like what I mentioned earlier in the 2012 movie set, the Avengers just kind of existed. They didn't necessarily play super well with each other. And this one was like, oh yeah, the Avengers are definitely playing really well with each other. And I really liked that for Age of Ultron. But sorry, go ahead. I had to like kind of say a blanket statement, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the weak links is like Vision in this set, but
oh, it's so weak. Oh man, he looks so cool. He looks so cool.
Such an amazing sculpt, and then just
and walking out of the theater when Vision like picks up Mjolnir, and yeah, dude's phasing outwit, no range. He shoots that little laser in his forehead about 1 million times in the movie. Dude's got no range, but again, like we know they make these movie sets like way before the movie comes out. It's like so sad. Like, Vision picks up Mjolnir, he does all this cool stuff. Vision's like the mega trump card of Age of Ultron, and it's just like, he's kind of like straight up garbage. He has none of the stuff I just talked about. He has no synergy, he has no traits, no special powers. He just has like this bland dial. Ugh, so sad. So sad.
My personal number one from this set is Ultron Prime, because he made the bystanders, and like the Ultron Mark 1s, and the Ultron Sentries, like just like insane. Like it was really fun, really thematic, really cool. But obviously, the Hulk 008 is just
that's the top pick. It just is
absolute monster of this set. I played him at 300 points all the time. A lot of times, my opponent would get him to click 11. And I would manage to rage token regen him back to click 1, and they would just be like, "Are you serious?" And that was just life for a few months.
Yeah, that Hulk was a menace. He was a beast. I think he definitely is like 100%. He's like the standout figure. He is also like kind of my choice for standout figure. My secondary choice is the 009 Hawkeye. I just really liked him. He had some cool improved movement. Where you could like sidestep up elevated terrain when he used sidestep, which was really cool. And then his Avengers Assemble thing was either deal a hit character an unavoidable damage, or you remove an action token from Hawkeye. So that one was my favorite because it just instantly put your opponent like, well, I just can't give you literally one free damage no matter what through anything, one unavoidable. That's insane. So I guess you just don't get a token. And then he had old school willpower, so he could just constantly be going. Like, Hawkeye just never had tokens, and he was just a menace. He was a triple target, 8 range precision strike piece. So he was pinging everybody for 1, and it's like, well, no, I don't want to deal another unavoidable damage. So sure, I guess don't take an action token. Just keep hitting me, Hawkeye. Like, and that rocked. Like, I really liked this Hawkeye. Again, like one of the Hawkeye figures, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Hawkeye. He's just sending arrows down range, and he just keeps on doing it. He just boom, one after another, boom, 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 and it rocked. Speaking of Age of Ultron, keeping the good times rolling, the Age of Ultron storyline organized play, definitely, it was an impossible task to live up to War of Light. Just an impossible task. I think this did okay. All things considered, though. I never played in any. I think I maybe played in one Age of Ultron. Again, this time my Heroclix career did not live near a venue like at all, so it was hard to even go out and play. But the Ultrons were, of course, really cool, sought after chases. They had the insanely broken drone dials, which counted as 120 point figures, which could call in 120 point figures, which was so insane for a 30 point piece. Just insanely broken. But I absolutely loved the Quinjet. I thought it was so cool that we were getting the Quinjet. I remember seeing spoilers of like the prizing on Facebook, and I was like, no freaking way. The end prize is the Quinjet. For me, like as an Avengers fan, I was like, this is so freaking cool. I can't believe we're getting it. It had pilot with Avengers and Shield, which was really cool because obviously Captain America typically has both of those keywords, which I absolutely loved. So yeah, the Quinjet just rocked. I loved the Quinjet. This is also in my phase where I loved ID cards. I loved ID cards. I know Seal sounds so gross. I need to take a shower after saying that. They were a busted mechanic, but I loved playing ID cards. I really, truly did. Because I'm like, oh, you're telling me I can have Captain America on the main force and another one on the sideline? Yeah, don't mind if I freaking do. I love playing the Lex Luthor. That was like his whole point was just calling ID cards. I loved the Quinjet because you could real boy in somebody. That rocked. Like, getting the Quinjet dial up and then being like, yeah, I'm going to call this person in, and then they're here permanently. They're here to stay, dude. It rocked. So I loved a lot of the things that the Age of Ultron storyline OP kit like gave us in terms of like playing with it. It really rocked. And I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out again another amazing Black Panther, 045 Black Panther with the After Effect jumping leap where he can't be like line of fire drawn to him. Yeah. This Black Panther just rocks. He's just really sick.
The figure outside of the chase is the figure that I wanted to see in my booster the most was that Black Panther. Just incredible sculpt, incredible like power set too. It was like stealth, toughness. When it isn't your turn, lines of fire to him are blocked if he's adjacent to blocking terrain. So if you just like posted him up somewhere, it was just blocked all the time. Just yeah. Also, like, I don't know if this was the first Blue Marvel that we ever got, but this was like the first one that I ever saw, because like this was again around the time that like I started playing. So just a very good showing of Blue Marvel, like in sealed especially, because like this whole set existed in sealed for most people. I mean, obviously, like you could play it in constructed too at the time, but like you would play it in sealed first. So, like, this Blue Marvel was just hypersonic, super strength. It was like, yes, this is what he does. And then he had, like, the Mighty Avengers trait, which was his defense value is increased +1 for each other friendly character within 4 squares that can use this trait. So if you had a bunch of people with that, then, like, he was just +3 to, like, his defense. So he was a 20 at top. It was pretty solid. And, yeah, I really... outside of the chases, I think that Blue Marvel, that Black Panther, maybe the Iron Man 2099 or whatever his name was.
2020, Iron Man 2020. That's so funny.
It was such a like fun sculpt.
He was a little overcosted though. Sadly,
yeah, a lot of stuff in this era was like.
Shout out Modam. I don't know why I still own a Modam, but I have her. I can't get rid of her, and I gotta keep her.
Weighs 20 pounds in the
booster. She's so heavy. It's like, I got Modam.
Oh, I got Modam. Or
could it be
2 test ones?
Yeah.
Probably my second to least favorite. We'll get to like the least favorite generic, but like test 1.
Yeah.
Just
that's painful. Also, shout out like the She-Hulk. I always really just liked this She-Hulk in the set. She was a charged flurry piece. She had her special willpower. She had her whole like she isn't on a theme team. She can roll like she gets +1 to your roll, which is really cool. And then Jocasta being the poor man's entity was always nice. I was like, oh, cool. I, a filthy poor, can own an entity now. Awesome. Yeah. And then also shout out this War Machine. I hate they didn't give him Indomitable. But he was an amazing call-in piece, so I loved him anyways.
Yeah, and also like pretty decent sculpts in the set for the most part. There's only a few like kind of like missed ones, but yeah.
I realized I skipped to Age of Ultron, missing Avengers Assemble. Whoops, my bad. Because I'm like, when Simeon says like, oh, least favorite generic, that has to be an Avengers Assemble. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
It absolutely is.
It is. Okay, hey, who is it?
It is Aleph.
Aleph. Oh yeah, dude. Ugh.
These guys were a menace, an actual monstrosity in comics. Like scary dudes. Not like something you want to mess with, like the comic version of these guys. Just scary. The generic is I don't know what it is, but it's not that. The generic is very overcosted, very easily diffusable, like just full of like outwit potential, full of like I'll deal you some like damage and then like pen damage and then you're gone. Which, to be fair, is like something that like in the comics that could happen, but for the point value, like these guys should be a lot cheaper for like these clicks. This one, so just a quick rundown: 6 speed, 10 attack, 3 damage, pulse wave, no damage power the whole dial. He goes from invincible to impervious to toughness, 9 clicks, so it's 3, 3, and 3 for those defense values. 3, 3, and 3 for pulse wave, psychic blast, precision strike, and it's at 140 from clicks 1 through 4, or on click 5 you start at 75. This guy, like the Aleph robot alien whatever, like they were the builders, which builders is a keyword that only 2 characters in the entirety history of Heroclix have.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were like legit scary in the comics even after like a few of them died. Like it was not something that the Avengers just had like an easy time with. And so like seeing this guy is topped out at 140 and like no traits, those are his powers, blah blah blah. Let me find something else in this set that's comparable. So for 147 points, Smasher has 10 speed, hypersonic, Smasher. 10 attack with super strength, 17 invulnerability, and then trait that is Smasher's range value is equal to her current click number plus 3. So on click 1, she's hypersonic 10 with 4 range, 10 for 3. And then if she were to get knocked down on like click 7, her range value is now 10 with running shot, range combat expert with 10 for 2. So she should be a 11 for 3. And that's for 3 points less than Aleph. Just, man, that's not even like the best example. There's just so many things that are like, Power Princess has a 150 point dial. That's not even, that is the Prime. Never mind. I won't
Prime.
Use the Prime as an example. But, man, this set had a lot of things that were close to like 150, 140 points. You know, Nova, Sandman, just so many things like where they had a ton of traits going on, a ton of special powers, a ton of like damage dealing potential, and then Aleph is just wandering around with, hey, my first 3 clicks I have sidestep. If you want anything more than that, that's too bad. I have no speed power from click 4 through 9 for 140 points. Or if I start at 75 points, I have no speed power or damage power my entire dial. You get Psychic Blast, 7 range, and that's it. Worst generic of all time. But
yeah, they are rough. They're overcosted.
Some of my favorite things. We'll get into favorite things from Avengers Assemble now because
there we go. Yeah. There we go.
3D Man, one of my favorite primes of all time.
He is awesome.
Yeah. Insane. He could use Perplex only to target himself, but he could use it up to 3 times per turn. Couldn't modify damage value more than once. But like at the time, it was like attack, damage. So he's the 13 for 4. Pretty solid. We got a Whirlwind in this set. We had a really solid.
We got a few Batrox Brigade, which was nice.
Yeah, quite a bit of Batrox Brigade. This rare Hulk was great, except it was not the previous Avengers Age of Ultron Hulk.
No.
Which was just insane. Jarvis, insane. Hybrid became insane after a rules change while he was still modern. So Hybrid is like a scroll thing. I don't really know what it is. Pink scroll thing. But he had Outwit once per turn. When he uses it to target an adjacent character, he could immediately use it again, and he could use any standard powers he has countered as long as they remain countered. So at a certain point, after he came out, Outwit got changed to saying like you could just say any power whether or not the character could use it. So Hybrid could literally be adjacent to someone and then just Outwit. Those are the 2 powers I pick, regardless of if the character had it. So you could just be like, I'm going to outwit your flurry blades. And they're like, I don't have flurry blades. Like, yeah, now you can't use it, but hybrid can, and then I flurry blades you. And that was like one of my favorite things. Manifold, best Avengers Taxi at the time, I guess maybe still. Red Wolf, one of my favorite figures of all time. He popped out the Lobo cub.
Oh man, Red Wolf rocked. I really love this piece. He was so much fun. But yeah, Lobo was great.
Yeah. He also had like the actual physical little wolf.
Yeah, the little
sculpt.
Yeah, the little figure. He had a figure. Yeah, the printed dial. It was really cool.
And the chases were like,
they're a standout. They really are a standout chase team. It takes the main Avengers plus Rick Jones, and it gives them this cool kind of, I guess, what you would call the like movie Avengers, and you get these really awesome, more powerful versions of them, which is like really cool. So you get like from the Secret Avengers book, Steve in the Nova helmet. I honestly don't know where this Iron Man is from, but this really cool Iron Man suit, Iron Man. But like King Thor, massive standout. This like Immortal Hulk, whatever, end of the world Hulk, crazy standout like piece. This Black Widow from What If, holding the hammer, and then like the main universe, like Goliath, Clint Barton was like always really cool. But then obviously, dude, Rick Jones just rocked.
Yeah.
He was so
Jones
fun.
was maybe like my least favorite second to least favorite. I hated Goliath. I hated Clint Barton.
Yeah, Goliath was just like, ugh, gross. Like, it's cool. It's a neat alternate, but like, nah, you're not a chase, dude.
Rick Jones just being like, I summoned heroes. It was like, it's cool, but I mean, I would much prefer to have had like big giant Iron Man, Nova Steve,
that's fair.
King Thor, like Hulk, Black Widow with the hammer. But Rick Jones ended up being like the best of them all, being able to just do like some insane stuff with
do an infinite there for a little while. Like, you do an infinite combo, and Heroclix was just hilarious with his bystanders and like ID cards. It was really, really silly, really silly. But no, it's weird. I love this set looking back on it. At the time, I wasn't really big on it because I don't think I was much of a like Avengers fan and everything to do with the Avengers as much as I was just a really big Captain America fan at this time. There was a lot of fun stuff. I remember being like, the Trinity from Trinity War, the Batman Superman one, were so good. They have to make an Avengers version. And then, boom, later the year, they do make an Avengers version. I don't think as strong as the Trinity, but I still liked it. This was their Marvel Now costumes and looks. And the Marvel Now Cap, to me, was so rooted in the Stranded in Dimension Z book. Still one of like the best Captain America storylines ever. And it was really rough when this Steve didn't capture that storyline at all. And it was definitely based off like the I think it maybe was called. And it was a good storyline when I go back and read about it, and like, wow, they were really expanding the ranks of Avengers, but it failed. Like, this Steve failed to capture what I knew this costume as at the time. It's still a really cool cap, but it was just not what I wanted like at the time in Heroclix. But yeah, Sandman, Nova, this arcade, where it was like one of the first figures I ever knew about that like you wanted to play it. You had to play on a specific map to make this dude just insane. And that was really cool. Finally getting D-Man as a longtime Captain America fan. That was really cool. Fun fact, when we had flavor text, D-Man had poison. And it's like, why does D-Man have poison? He's like a wrestler guy. Poison was it wasn't necessarily called submission hold, but it was called something like that, which is really cool when you later see they use poison as like a basis for submission hold in WWE. So it was neat that like him being like a wrestler character kind of had like that same flavor, which is really cool. And then to end, I guess this doesn't end 2015. We have Superman Ornament still, but Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I actually really like this set. I love Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I know like other people at the time weren't as big on it. And I think probably the biggest thing was the chases weren't great. They're actually really bad. The vehicles for chases, even though I was pumped that we were getting a Captain America's motorcycle, that we were getting an Avengers spy cycle, I knew getting the S.H.I.E.L.D. space rig just felt horrible. That was like, these were chases that were like $10-15 right away. Like that was tough. That was really tough.
It's not an iconic character. It was usable in
not.
most of the time. It was usable in like a very massive sense, but yeah, like Shield Space Rig was just like equipable sidestep was all that really ended up being
kind of a death sentence. If you got
Yeah.
Shield Space Rig, it was really tough. It's like, no, this was my chase. No,
which is insane because
none of the chases were great, really. But
set,
Shield
like,
Space Rig was the
if
worst.
they had like insane chases in this set, it would have been one of like the best selling sets of all time. It had
It's
Prime
probably
Nighthawk.
still one of my all-time favorites.
It had literally just the
Prime
most.
Peggy Carter was really good. Prime Nighthawk. We
Oh, yeah.
had what's his face? Balls of Fury. Nick Fury. The most broken figure. This was the first figure that when he rotated, I like praised. I was like, yes, finally, no more Balls of Fury. It was like that is how much that's how much this dude impacted the meta. It was literally like, I cannot wait for the day you rotate. And he rotated in like, 2017, 2018, too long. He was in Heroclix for too long. The fact that Balls of Fury was legal the same time Unimind was legal, which seems wrong, but they were legal at the same time for a window, was just like, this is painful. I'm in pain right now. But for this set, yeah, I love the Kerr. I love the super rares that Kerr everything about this set. It's actually probably the best. I actually thought this is more of a Captain America set than it's necessarily a Nick Fury set, just because of how many core Captain America characters it had, and that's really why I love this set just a ton. First off, generics. Filling a set full of generics, that freaking rocks. Spoiler alert, that's awesome. Tons of S.H.I.E.L.D., tons of Hydra. They're the opposing forces in Marvel. One's the espionage bad guys, one's the crazy Nazi espionage good guys, excuse me. Well, sometimes S.H.I.E.L.D. can be kind of bad, but espionage good guys who are just like, yeah, this is the good Marvel organization. Then it was like Hydra, that's the flagship evil dude, bad organization. Had all the Hydra leaders you wanted, except ironically Red Skull, probably because he was just made earlier the year. But it had like Baron Strucker, it had Viper, even though she's horrible. It had Contessa Allegra, Valentina Desfontaine, all that stuff. It just had great Hydra stuff. On the flip side, we had great Shield stuff. We had Dum Dum Dugan. We had Agent Coulson, one of my favorite pieces in the set, like ever. We had an Agent 13. We had Nick Fury Jr., who was also a really amazing Shield piece. So just awesome representation on both sides. And then, again, what made it feel like Captain America... Oh, dude, Imperial Hydra, Dr. Mnemonicus. How could I not mention those guys? They rock. Literally so much. And then on, like, what felt so Captain America-y was the Big Invaders sub-theme, which, by the way, this trait at the time was, like, borderline useless because no one used these powers. Nowadays, if, like, even, like, semi-okay piece had this trait, it'd be so broken. The Invade Your Territory, where they ignored opposing barrier and smoke cloud for movement purposes and removed them from the game when they moved through them, was not good at the time. It's wild to say that, but it just wasn't. And like, there just really wasn't that much barrier tech at that point in the game. Like, there always is barrier tech to an extent, but not enough where it's like I would ever pay. I think 65 might have been the cheap. Maybe 45 was the cheapest with Miss America. Yeah, Miss America was the cheapest, and she was a charge piece. She was a charge super strength piece, but spending 45 points even just to move her and get rid of all of that terrain just wasn't even worth it. It's wild that trade is literally so broken, literally so busted, and yet it never saw play. Same thing. That US Agent ID card got rid of all barrier, all smoke cloud, everything, but he was an 80-point piece, and people just like literally never played him. Just never played him. It's insane, Never even just called him in. Like, it's actually nuts that like that's one of the most broken abilities ever, but because of the era, it just never saw play. But the Invaders were a very Captain America-y sub-theme. We also got a Steve Rogers. We got a Sam Wilson as Captain America. We got Iron Nail. We got Nomad, and we got oh my gosh, what is her name? Jet Black. So these were all characters from that 2014, 2012-ish Arnim Zola Trapped in Dimension Z Captain America run, which is, again, one of my favorite runs of all time. And that's why this felt so much like a Captain America set parading as a Nick Fury set, because it just had so much good Captain America influence. That was some of my favorite characters ever. And I love this set. I really do. I love Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just one of my all-time favorite sets just ever. Okay, rant over. Big, long, massive Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. rant. I love a lot that's in it. We haven't got a Dum Dum Dugan since then. Please give me another Dum Dum Dugan. I'm begging you. I'll end it there.
New Invaders.
Yo, New Invaders so badly.
Yeah.
Oh, so badly. Oh, shout out that Namor. That's one of the coolest sculpts ever. Where it's like Namor is diving. We see the flat of the water, the sploosh of him diving, and then him going through water. That sculpt rocks. It's literally so sick.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll end this segment of favorite clicks of all time with Superman and Wonder Woman, thus ending the year of 2015. I literally just have like shout out the Atom. The Atom just rocks. And General Lane. General Lane and the Atom are just amazing. And that's all I'll say, because I ranted insanely about Nick Fury's shield.
Superman, Wonder Woman. I really liked the deities in the set, the deity sub theme. So like, there's like Apollo, Circe, Hermes. There's a lot of them. Figures that I actually like thought would like blow up bigger than they did. Superman Red, Superman Blue. So
I thought Superman Blue would be played way more with his anti-pulse wave stuff. I really did.
Superman Blue was like him and adjacent friendly characters ignore damage dealt by pulse wave. Superman Red was the Prime, and he was himself and friendly adjacent characters ignore damage dealt by energy explosion. So I was like, surely if you play both of them, then like, how would they ever attack a group of characters? But they just didn't, just didn't get played a whole lot. Man, things that I actually ended up playing from this set. I mean, obviously, Eclipso was a possessor, so he, like, first super rare possessor. He got played quite a bit. One of my all-time favorites was Hades. He had a way of popping out bystanders that was just kind of insane, kind of different. And if you got a lot of heroic souls, like if you were playing a battle royale situation at like high points, you would just get a bunch of heroic souls, and they were charged, super strength, impervious probs. So then suddenly mid-game, you would just have like 4 extra probs on your team, which was insane. Mr. Mixoblitic, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That dude.
Him and Brainiac. But him being able to free action, choose a character within 3 squares in line of fire. The chosen character gains tiny, standard, giant, or colossal size instead of its damage symbol until your next turn. That was his power on click 2, where he also had running shot with Mr. Mixoblitic can use Pulse Wave, but deals no damage when doing so. Instead, give each hit character up to 2 action tokens. So you could Pulse Wave everyone, including friendlies, and instead of dealing damage, give up to 2 action tokens, including 0 for friendlies. So, yeah, 9 range, 1 lightning bolt, and then he had a special speed power that was phasing teleport. When he had 2 action tokens, he could use it as a free action. But obviously, everyone always wanted to get him to click 2 and 4, where he had that pulse wave power, lock down opposing characters, make people giants or colossal. Gosh. Oh, and then he had the first die replacement that I remember.
I think that might have been the first. I don't know if it truly is, but yeah, that die replacement. I mean, that's why people played him. Like, he was hard to kill, and he had that dice replacement, which was just so strong at the time, just insanely strong.
Yeah. No, I loved the the Red Sun storyline. So I loved the chases from this set.
That Batman was so fun to play.
Yeah,
again, blowing up people was hilarious.
Green Light was my personal favorite because it was just like anyone under 40 points got toughness and flight, which is like any bystanders, any 0-point figures that are generated all of a sudden had toughness and flight. Insane. A lot of generics that I played at the time, or like around this time, were like 30 to 25 points. Yeah. And then, the Colossals. I mean, I think all the Colossals from this set, outside of War Wheel was probably the only one that I did not want it.
Cool looking. It just was really confusing to be bad.
Yeah. It just, like, what was I doing with that thing? Like, it's like, if you have straight line to opponent and all figures are directly in straight line, you can do thing that is very interesting and not super effective. And it was like, why would I ever bother?
Yeah. But we're going to end our favorite figures. Tune in whenever. Next week, we'll start back up in the year of 2016 with World's Finest. Really quickly, let's burn through a few community questions.
dozens of us. Dozens!
His own Bill asks over on our Discord, what is your favorite style of card WizKids has made over the years? And what/if anything you would change about the current style? My favorite card is just like the 2011 like forward card. I like it the most. I just do. It has the really simple header. It had the traits, whatever. I was one of those people. Again, it might just be nostalgia talking because that was the card style that was in when I played, like first started getting into the game. But I remember really, really, really hating the 2016 card change.
Oh, yeah.
I slowly started to like it because all of the information was on the front. So that part I really enjoyed. But I never loved how it looked. I think it did make Heroclix visually pop more with like the black border and everything. So nostalgically, my favorite card is that, again, where it still used like the REV colors and stuff, like kind of that first ever Heroclix card kind of look, but on like the material we know today. But I think realistically, like the best card, I think, is like the Silver Age card, the Superior Foes of Spider-Man up until Beyond Amazing, I think is probably my favorite to / arguably the best version of a Heroclix card, with all the important information that you need to read on the front and then the dial in the back where you can then go look at it quickly if you need to, like just flip it over. What about you, Simeon?
I have to basically agree. Yeah.
Sure.
I prefer when the dial was on the back. So I think, yeah, like that like 2019 like era when the dial was on the back, you still had to like flip it over to look at it. The dial on the front is fine. It's just, I don't know.
I would just prefer all the text to be on the front. Like, if I had to sacrifice, I would say, yeah, keep the dial on the back. I want all the important text on the front, because more than anything, I think that's the most important thing to like reference.
Right.
I understand the idea, I guess. Yeah.
And then
of like, oh, what damage does, but like,
also
I would rather
that was when we had flavor text still, and
I miss flavor text so much.
Yeah, I
never knew what we had until it was gone. Really,
I really miss flavor text.
Yeah. Miles asks, what are some sleeper figures you think might not catch fire in the meta but could be competitively played to diversify the field worlds? I think a handful of current sleeper picks. I think Steve, number one, the Chase from next phase. Number two, I think the Kingpin Prime from next phase is also a sleeper pick. I think there's something you can do with that. I know there's been a listener that's like really, really building with that Kingpin like a lot. I think the Poison Ivy, people are starting to catch on like the Poison Ivy, Roses for Red, Iconics. But I think they should probably play her a little bit more, see what happens. What else is kind of a sleeper pick? Maybe that's kind of all I have for sleeper picks. But there's definitely a handful out there, that's for sure. Yeah, that's all I'll say as far as diversifying the field at Worlds goes that people maybe aren't totally paying attention to. What about, I think the Hellfire Gall is a big sleeper pick, actually. Overall, I think that the new Hellfire Gall is a sleeper pick. And I think people could like stand to look at that a bit more. I think just because they seem overcosted. Yeah, it kind of got slipped in. They seem a little overcosted, but I actually think there's some really good abilities on the Hellfire Gala that are worth taking a look at. I think Captain Marvel's like the obvious one, and then I think like Scarlet Witch. But I think Captain America's worth taking a look at for the Hellfire Gala to save you at least one big hit right away. It does still seem expensive. And then, man, I think if Dice Replacement gets relevant by Worlds, then Doctor Doom might be a pretty sleeper pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'll say as far as sleeper picks goes.
Man. Outside of like that, like, gosh, I feel like everyone's gone quite a bit over Next Phase and Weapon X. So I don't think there's any like actual sleeper picks from those that we've just completely missed until maybe something comes out. I guess there's still like Guardians of the Galaxy holiday calendar is still something where, you know, like, oh yeah, that's fair. Like Nebula is still like an obvious kind of like contender, maybe even Rocket. Like there's the Bersermic Dakalak, that guy. Yeah. Like there's a few things where this could work on certain teams and certain like situations. Keep an eye out kind of like thing if you're building. But I feel like anyone that's building for something, if that like pops up, they'll be obviously, you know, looking at it. And then Miles asks for Calder,
At Worlds, are you willing to have Captain America arm wrestle Aquaman for charity? Loser donates $150 to next year's IPF. That's a big bet, Miles. But yes, I would be willing to do that, and it could be any charity too. We want to do the IPF. That sounds great. But I'm always down for losers charity, winners charity, stuff like that. The way he's worded this makes me think he's gonna put like Ryan Redmond in an Aquaman suit, and I'm just cooked. Versus it being like Miles in an Aquaman suit, which seems more fair. No offense, Miles. I don't know. I don't know. But like, yeah, the way he just says Captain America arm wrestle Aquaman, I'm like, oh, okay. Hope it means yourself. And then Bill says, for Calder, which Cap outfit do you think is the most conducive for competitive arm wrestling? I'll go with the suits that I own. So it's 100%. It's not the U.S. agent suit. I have not broken in that suit nearly enough. I've only worn it once at Nationals. It's a tight fit. Well, I was a little overzealous with the sizes on that one. It was a tight fit suit. But I think purely for the power it exudes, it's the Endgame suit. My newest Endgame suit. Even though I haven't worn it a lot, it's just... Once you got the Endgame, once you're wearing the Endgame suit, it's like, yeah, dude, like the indomitable human spirit, like Mjolnir's lightning is running through Captain America's veins in the Endgame suit. So that's got to be just the most conducive for competitive arm wrestling. And then he asks for Simeon, is Miles allowed to wear the harpoon hand while he arm wrestles? Judge?
I feel like that's that's definitely got to be like some sort of like outside instrument interference kind of. I don't know what the rule would be, but definitely enhanced version. So like, yeah, I don't think so. I think that you can't use a harpoon hand.
Thank goodness. I'm very happy with that ruling personally. But all right, those are some really funny listener questions. I'm glad we were able to get to them. Guys, I think we're going to end the podcast here. But if you want to join our awesome community at Dial H for Heroclix, you can go ahead, join the, Patreon at Dial H Podcast, or patreon.com/Dial H Podcast. There's also a link in the show notes right now. You can toss us $1, and then you have the nice knowing that you're tossing us $1 every month. Or if you join at the $5 or any higher tiers, you'll get action tokens, you'll get access to our Discord, you'll get access to a ton of exclusive videos. There's a handful of skits, behind the scenes videos. You'll see, like right now I'm uploading Deadpool Weapon X gameplay. That is all early for some people. So they're going to see all of that stuff early before it goes live on YouTube for the rest of the world. So if you want to see more gameplay, that's an easy way to do it. The Great Lakes Avengers gameplay, some of those, the first game is going to be public, and then the next 2 games, those are going to be Patreon exclusive. If you want to see the rest of those Great Lakes Avengers games, which are really fun games, check those out. And then I want to start doing more, even just like gameplay or videos early for Patreon. So I'm planning on doing a kind of a behind-the-scenes series. We'll see how far that pans out, but I really want to make that happen. So kind of stay tuned for that as well on the Patreon. But if you want to support us and everything we do, feel free to join the Patreon. It's a great community.
And if you want to pick up some of these excellent figures that we've been suggesting all night, well, you can go to coolstuffinc.com, where you can find the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. If you use code DIAL5, you'll save 5% off your Heroclix orders. So make sure you use code DIAL5 when shopping at coolstuffinc.com. They've got the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. They've also got like some of these older figures that we've been talking about. If you ever like wanted to dip back, maybe you didn't start back then, but you're like, hey, some of these old Golden Age figures are interesting. Maybe I want the sculpt. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com. And if you want to go direct to the source, you can go to shop.whizkids.com and use code DIALH10 whenever you check out, and that'll save you 10% off of your order, as long as it's not including any pre-releases, specialty figures, iconics, or things of that manner. But you can still use it, still check it out, try at least, and if it works, it works. You get 10% off. That's a good deal. So check them out. They usually have some fun, interesting, free stuff going on. So yeah, by purchasing things, you get some good things. It's a good reason to shop.whizkids.com.
I'd say so. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for all your Heroclix YouTube videos, podcasts, unboxings, and so much more, make sure you dial H. Like always, happy trails.
So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional
Heroclix.
help.
We're not going there.
That's how numbers work. Over
Okay, yeah,
6
hold on.
people think I am funny.
I'm your Captain America.
That was just you in a costume. Well, the rest of this case doesn't matter at all.